Got it. Yeah, he's also going to Yale for Hello, everyone. What camera am I looking at? This one over here?
Yeah, whichever one you want.
Welcome to the Wednesday live stream. And we have George in the studio with us.
Oh my gosh. So this is a 24-hour show? Or are we doing
We're
12 hours?
constantly
What is
live
it?
streaming
Just
in perpetuity.
This is actually the thing attached to your back.
Yeah.
It just projects
Yeah, Ian just turns the cameras off after a while.
Is
but
that
we'll
what it
keep
is?
going.
Is that what it is?
And I just shut down and just stay here. But anyway, today is Wednesday, November 20th. We're going to talk about some things. Look at this. Who do we got in the studio? George Robbie, and he's on the thing, and he's got the
Hi, thanks for letting me invade.
Yep.
I had to come on after last week.
Of course.
I had to be in the middle.
Calm Jay down.
Be like,
You're going to
I
referee.
get to be the ref who just walks around the thing and just no.
Today we're going to talk about Poe or No, which I haven't told them about.
That could be a regular segment. We
I
can
know,
do
we're
it
going to
every
do
week.
that.
Poe or
yeah.
No.
Poe or No. Your Brain in Space. And Notacon 2025. Buy the tickets, and then we'll do some TikToks.
Are we going to talk about the
We'll
North
talk
Korean
about-
soldiers?
Okay, we'll talk
Did you hear
about that
this,
too.
George? Did you hear about this?
Yeah.
So the word on the street, we don't know if it's true. It's just like take it as a funny thing at first, and then we'll get into the reality of it.
Yeah.
North Koreans get shipped from North Korea to Russia to fight Ukraine, right?
Right.
And they gain access
Bastards.
to
Easy
the
thumbs,
world's
yeah, no thumbs.
internet.
For the first time.
For
And
the
they-
first time ever. And do they take advantage of that
Yes,
access?
they do. Yes, they do, George.
Do they go on Amazon to buy some shoes?
They do what everybody does when they get internet access.
So word on the street is they found, like, I guess you just say it, Western porn.
Yeah.
And they freaked. Like they like. Let me put it to you this way: they fought all day and they kept it up all night.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, I mean, that's the story,
That's the
and it's
story.
a funny story. There's no confirmation that it's true.
But there's images and video.
But show the picture. Look-
Responsible websites are saying, that allegedly or is said to be whatever. I don't think it hasn't been confirmed.
No, we don't know.
The Pentagon hasn't confirmed
But it
it.
is a
Right.
funny.
But it's a
internet
funny
thing.
story.
Ian, show the picture of the guy.
Okay,
in
this
bed.
is the picture that's maybe the funniest.
That is a certain kind of satisfaction there.
Yeah.
Whatever, 19, 22-year-old, whatever. It could be
His
50,
life
who
finally
knows.
makes sense.
But it's
Yeah.
one of those like, oh, I get it now.
And the
This is-
poster in the background. Yeah.
okay.
It's not, yeah, we don't
This
know.
is why we make these phones. I get
Right.
it. Okay,
Oh,
cool.
Lord.
Well, the other North Korean story that I heard, which also might not be true, is that, and I don't want to go into any kind of racist trope necessarily, but there were images of Russian soldiers realizing that the canned food they were eating from their North Korean compatriots was not traditional protein.
Where was it?
It apparently it was dog.
So Trump was right. They're
So
eating
they're
the
eating
dogs.
the dogs in North
Dogs.
Korea. There's a bunch of videos posted of soldiers being told, Russian soldiers being told, like, "Oh, that thing you're eating is
That word
bad."
means dog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and enjoy, keep
Could be
fighting,
them,
keep
yeah,
fighting. So
punking
between
each
the
other.
the dog protein and the porn,
Yeah.
good news, bad news,
Right.
good news, bad news. You might enjoy your evenings more, but guess what you'll be eating?
Your kibbles and your bits.
Oh, hey.
Hey, thank you so much. Thanks for coming. I won't be here.
Wait, I have a question for these two guys.
Please.
Yeah.
When you go to an event
Yeah.
that has like open, like you're sharing a table with strangers, like
Yeah.
you go to a comedy club or you go to a concert or something
Sure.
like that, and you know you're going to be sitting with strangers. And let's say you're at a four-top, right? So you're going to go with your date, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband, whatever. There's the two of you, and you go to a four-top where you're going to be sharing seats with two other people. Do you sit shoulder to shoulder, or do you sit across from the person you're going with?
Shoulder to shoulder.
I mean, I would think we would try to maximally position ourselves to see the stage. But if it was
Oh.
two people we don't know, I think we'd sit next to each other.
You would go so that you're going to be talking like this the whole time,
Yeah.
and not like that.
It's
because
situational.
then-
I'd have to be there to see it. I mean, I see what you're saying because it could go either way.
Because
Would
I
you-
would want to, if I'm eating a meal, I want to be able to talk,
Yeah,
like,
that
communicate
makes
like this
sense.
with the thing. But I don't know. But then they're sitting next to a stranger. Maybe it depends on who's sitting there. But like first choice, you would sit. shoulder
Well,
to
you're talking. I'm imagining even like just like a square
shoulder. Like
table.
a square table. Yeah.
So that if you're like this and they're sitting this way, so that you're talking past each other.
Yeah. So you're either your partner is right ahead of you or your partner is next to you.
that could be awkward. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's
I
an
don't know.
interesting question.
I don't know. Let alone if there's like a like a long, let's say, bench kind of thing where you have multiple people coming across. Are then you're going to do that? Or
Yeah,
you go
I
there,
don't know. That's
'cause then
like
it's like the thing.
that's
of the
like
thing.
when you get out of your airplane seat. Do you give them the butt or the groin? You got to make up your mind.
Yeah,
It's
right.
true.
Ass or junk. There's no other
yeah.
option.
Junk.
I mean, it's good.
Oh, I remember Jay yelling at. We were flying somewhere. I forget where we were going, and someone got up and like pushed their way forward because there's
when we were deplaning.
we were deplaning,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
there's the thing.
Deplaning.
You
Oh,
take-
yeah,
you-
yeah.
You take your time and you take your turn,
deplaning.
and each row goes out by itself. You
Yeah.
stand up. Everybody stands up right away, which is
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like, why are you standing up?
Because
You
your
have 20
knees
minutes to
hurt.
go.
That's why.
Yeah, but then your neck is all
Yeah.
cracked, and you're like, oh, okay, this is great. But then, and someone cut ahead, and Jay was like,
Yeah.
they went Costanza. We're living in a society here.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is though,
It
because
was
you don't.
great.
Absolutely.
I always try to remind myself of the fundamental attribution error. You don't know what that person was dealing with that day. They
That's
might have been.
true.
They might have been
Diarrhea.
late to make a connection.
I know that's
I've
true.
been on, looking at the watch, and saying
then they can simply say that.
they could have said that.
That's what they're supposed to do.
Yes.
But,
But I'm
Steve,
just
I
saying-
fly all the time, and the fact of the matter is that 99% of the time, people are selfish.
99.
People
Yeah.
are selfish.
I don't have
Where'd
that
you get that
experience.
And if you
statistic
are
from?
going, if you are going to do that, you should say, "Hey guys, I got to catch a connector."
Like,
and
I'm
you
so
would be
sorry.
amazed
I'm
at how
so sorry.
accommodating.
Yes.
Yeah,
other
everyone gets.
passengers
I
would
know.
Be like, I'm so
That's
sorry. I'm gonna be so close. And sometimes, like the airlines will do that too. Like, please remain seated. We have connecting passengers going
Yeah.
through that have to make. The
I
flight.
just did that on my
Yeah.
flight
But
to
you
Dubai.
can't
I
just jump
I
the
had-
line, man. You can't
I
do
know.
it.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, it is the etiquette, and it's also dangerous.
Mhm.
You can't.
But
be,
most people don't do that, Jay. You
yeah,
said.
but when it happens,
Yeah.
I'll say something.
Oh, you said 99% of people are selfish.
That one guy is 99%.
Of the people who do that,
I hear what you're saying.
99%
How
of
do you
them.
know? Do you survey them? Do you ask them why they
Because
did
I
it?
can look at them and I judge them by the way they
It
look.
sounds like a toupee fallacy. You're just assuming that that's what's happening.
I think it makes.
He has a toupee?
I think logically it makes sense.
But making sense, they're just confirming your bias.
so when I say something, the fact that they don't say, "Oh, I'm trying to get a connector," proves to me that they're not getting a connector.
But the kind of people who wouldn't say something in the first place are probably too embarrassed to say something.
no,
in
after what I
response to you.
said, I think they would say
All right.
something.
I
That's
do
your
like
survey?
that thing of being like the default of if someone cuts me off in traffic or something, I'm
Yeah.
always like, they're going to
To
get
the hospital.
dialysis.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but
right.
what happens when
going
you're
for
driving through
dialysis.
Waterbury, Connecticut,
Jordan's
and
right there?
every single time I drive through Waterbury, Connecticut, because my mother-in-law lives there,
Yeah.
so I'm there all the time.
Right.
People are driving ridiculously crazy, like super
Yeah.
fast, weaving in and out, doing the whole like banking down to the right, going all the way over to the left, very dangerously. Like I don't think that everybody's rushing for their pregnant wife to go to the
Yeah.
hospital. I think that there's a bunch of assholes in Waterbury.
Or that's just the culture of the driving.
Hey.
there.
It is, but that's an asshole.
We're selling those T-shirts,
Just
by the
because
way.
it's culture doesn't mean you're not an asshole.
I'm a
So what are you
Waterbury
doing though? Are you
asshole.
weeping to get away from them?
Of course I am.
So you're the asshole
I'm
too,
shooting
then.
my paintball gun at them as they drive by. No, but the point is, first of all, I'm old enough where I actually am complaining about people driving fast now, right?
True.
Which is scary.
Slow down.
But I'm seeing this in our society. I am seeing this people leaning into me, leaning into how can I serve myself? And
Is that
not
new
being-
though? Is that new?
I think it's worse now than
Wasn't
it's
the
ever been.
'80s the me generation?
That's right, me decade.
It goes back to that.
I don't know. I think I've been very observant my whole life, and I am seeing this happen more and more. I mean, maybe
You just have to be careful though, because you develop a narrative, and then you have a confirmation bias. Your observations support the narrative, and it's very easy to think, oh yes, I'm right, because look at all the evidence in front of me about that confirms what I think is going on all the time.
I know, but
Plus, you're more concerned because you have kids in the car and things like that, which
Of
make you
course.
more aware of your surroundings
Yes,
as opposed when you're
absolutely.
18 and a maniac just driving out
It is
there.
probably an age thing too. I drive slower than I did 20 years ago.
Yeah, but it's not just the speed. Like people pass
Yeah,
me in
from
the left-hand
Connecticut.
lane, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
You want to go fast, and if I'll move over every time somebody wants to drive faster than me. It's the weaving. It's the jockey. It's like all that crazy shit. I
Maybe
never liked
everyone's
that.
high now.
It's possible. I mean,
Someone with a
they did-
loom in their
they
car,
did,
they're weaving. They're
But
knitting.
Steve, next time we fly, if it happens, and I do speak out against the person trying to get off the airplane before everybody else,
We will survey them.
you will
Yeah.
you will appreciate what I do because you'll be
I
pissed
mind
too.
taking this survey.
I do the same thing. I get up. I
Block 'em.
have to stand up because I've been sitting for hours. I don't care if I'm hunched over a little bit. I make sure everything's together, and I'm waiting patiently for my turn.
Yes.
Get the rows go.
Yes.
Right, and then when it's your turn, you get out and you go.
Yeah.
And most people do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there is always somebody who's anxious to get out, and
Hey, I have
Whatever.
anxiety.
Maybe they're
and
having-
I
yeah.
control myself.
it's usually not a problem though. It's not. It's pretty much like there's a little bit of a bell curve of human behavior, but it's all within two
No,
standard
you're right. Most
deviations.
people do it. Most
Yeah.
people do it.
Yeah.
Do you always use your turn signal?
Ooh.
Every time.
Every time.
Every
time?
time. Even at night.
Yeah,
Even to
I
your
mean,
driveway?
At night, well, of course. Especially
yeah.
at night.
I generally do. I mean, if I don't know that I don't because I forgot or whatever. But I generally do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a simple
I mean,
thing.
how about changing lanes? Do you do? I'm definitely
Oh,
when
yeah.
you're making a turn.
No, changing lanes for sure.
have
but
to
even
do it in
changing
changing
lanes.
lanes.
Always. Because that drives me nuts.
That
When someone
but-
changes without showing, it's like,
Yeah.
That's an important indicator. And you don't turn it on and turn the wheel at the same time.
No.
You got to give a couple of beats.
thing. You have
So,
a rhythm.
all right. So this happened to me the other day. So, 2 lanes of traffic.
Yeah.
I have to get over to one lane
Right.
to be in the correct lane for
To get off on the left hand
to whatever I'm doing. There's a person behind me.
Yes.
Right. I signal to go left. They go left and try to go in front of me.
no.
But I go left at the same time,
Yeah.
and they had to like.
See, they're setting the pick. They're setting the
And
pick is what they should
then
do.
they
and
got mad at me.
Yeah, no, that's
I'm
right.
like, F you, dude.
That's-
I was in front of you. I signaled. You
100%.
tried to cut me off, and you're mad that I didn't let you cut me off.
Of course.
Yeah. No,
Were
the
you
cur-
driving through Waterbury?
No, New Haven. I was in New
The
Haven.
courtesy is like you indicate, and then if the person's turning, they set the pick like in
Yeah.
basketball.
Yeah,
So
but
they may give you the space. and
What
you
Steve
go.
said, though, is perfectly accurate. That's what happened. The
Yeah.
guy saw that.
Right.
He was like, oh, I'm going to get around
Right.
this guy. But the fact is,
Yeah.
when you're in front of a person, you have right away.
But typically, though,
Mm-hmm.
you're right. And this was, I didn't even know that they were going to do that. I signaled and I went left, and suddenly they're trying to like scoot in front of me. But if there's like a line of cars, and then like somebody slows down up here,
It's not previously
it's always
reported.
peels off from the back to the front. Not because they're supposed to do it that way. That's just
Right.
they're able to do it
Right,
that
because
way.
they have a bigger gap to be
Yeah.
able to do. Here's the other thing: lanes are merging into one. You have a construction or
Yeah.
something going
Yeah,
on, right? Get
zipper.
the big arrow. Keep the lanes full.
Yeah.
Go all the way to the
Yes.
sign. Go all the
Correct.
way to the sign, because
Yeah.
that way more cars will fill that space and allow for that zipper merge to happen.
Yeah.
People that start merging like a mile before you're supposed to like do the thing because they see a sign says merge in whatever
Yeah.
4,500 feet or whatever, and then they're like slowing down and stop. It's like fill, and then you get dirty looks.
Yeah.
Because like I've gone all the way to the front to where you're supposed to merge. And be like, I'm not letting you in because it's all the way at the end. You should have merged a mile back. It's like,
Do you
no.
think that's a state by state thing? Because I noticed
Is
people in
it?
Pennsylvania line up, and in New York they sure as F don't.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's my PA thing.
I don't
Getting
know.
getting on the Whitestone Bridge coming from JFK,
Yeah.
or with that area of New York, right? And this happens every time. So I wait in line. It's usually a little backed up if it's near rush hour.
Sure.
And then you have those people that stay in the left-hand lane, which is a road that continues on, and then they go all the way up to where you
Sure, to the-
and then they sneak in right there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
and it infuriates me. And I'm telling myself it's going to happen. I'm coming up on that corner
Yeah.
where I'm going to turn onto the bridge, and someone's going to do it. And there's like a percentage of people that just do it every time.
That's wrong.
You know?
Yeah.
And that-
To drive through the paint,
Yeah.
to merge, that's wrong. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that.
But that's the thing. In any kind of big public space, it doesn't take that many people who are rule breakers or selfish or whatever, or just assholes, to constantly be, causing that type of thing to happen.
Right.
So it's like the internet. Even if like 0.1% of people are trolls,
Yeah. It's enough.
Any space on the internet is going to be full of trolls.
Sure.
You know? And it makes it seem like everyone's an asshole, but no, it's really just a minority of people who have a disproportionate effect
Right.
on the whole system.
Right. Speaking of bridge, I
Yeah.
walked across the Tappan Zee Bridge
Oh my
a
God!
couple
Why?
weeks ago.
That's what I can see.
Just to do it, just because I wanted to do it my whole life.
Yeah.
And it's this 3-mile long bridge that goes from New York to New York, which is weird, but whatever, across the Hudson.
Yeah.
And growing up, like I was like, it's a very low bridge. It doesn't go very high. It's just
Yeah.
very long and has like a left turn on it.
Has a
which is
nice
cool.
view too.
Beautiful view. And when they rebuilt it, they made this whole, like, there's a bike lane and a walk lane.
Yeah.
And then there's 6 little lookouts where you can like stop and look up the Hudson. And
There should have been a train, but
it's, well, sure. But it was so cool.
There
It was
was
like,
going to be
6-mile round trip to walk, 3 miles out, 3 miles back.
Wow.
And it's beautiful. And you can do it up until 10 o'clock at night. So, like, I want to go do it at night and see stars and stuff. It'd be really cool over the Hudson. It'd be amazing.
Yeah, it would be beautiful.
Your Waterbury discussion got me on a TikTok that I saw recently, which I don't know if you guys know, but everyone in Connecticut is rich. I don't know if you are you familiar
Yeah, I'm from
with this?
Connecticut. And they're always like, rich. And I'm like, no.
Don't fall for it. She's lying. I live in Connecticut, and I'm here to tell you every single city in Connecticut is extremely wealthy. We're all doing amazing. Like, we don't even know what to do with the money. We have so much money. So if you're thinking about visiting Connecticut, I'm just going to give you the top cities to visit. And when you visit these cities, make sure you come with your most expensive clothes, chains, jewelry. Come out looking good to these cities, right? And these cities only take cash, so just think about that. So only bring cash,
Here we
right?
go.
So the
You
top
can
places
guess.
to live in-
Wait, he's gonna say
in Connecticut
Bridgeport.
is-
Yeah, wait, which cities do you think
Oh, it's
he's
going to be.
say?
I would say Waterbury is a good one.
Uh-huh.
Bridgeport. I mean, depending on the time of day, Hartford.
Yeah.
Hartford's, it's not really a depressing.
The insurance salesman might get you.
Yeah, Stanford's a pretty good city.
Stanford's
Stanford's
fine.
fine.
Danbury's doing well.
That's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
It's one that's close to you.
New Haven.
Yeah.
Waterbury for one, New Haven, and then you're gonna finish your tour off in Bridgeport.
Yeah.
So like I said, make sure to bring your nicest stuff when you come visit. Specifically, all right? And bring cash only, okay? Don't listen to her. We're all wealthy. We're all killing it. We're all borderline millionaires here.
Anyway, I thought that was funny.
That is pretty
I
funny.
was like, my TikTok is starting to get more Connecticution. And I was like, what's happening? How do they know?
I mean, last time I was in Hartford, a shooting happened.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Hartford is such a middle class city, though.
Yeah.
I mean, because it is like the insurance capital of the
That's
country,
right.
whatever. It's just a boring city.
It sucks.
Yeah.
There's nothing going on.
Yeah, it's just a business city.
Well, there are
You know?
vampires there. I mean,
Yeah.
What?
yeah, you got at night. You got to be careful, man.
Oh, okay.
Bridgeport has parrots. There are parrots living in Bridgeport.
It's true.
They're wild parrots?
Like wild
Yeah.
parrots?
Yes.
Oh, people have them as pets and they let them go.
But like 100 years ago,
What?
somebody
my
let parrots go,
gosh.
and now there is a established breeding population of green parrots in Bridgeport, the Bridgeport parrots. If you go there, you will see
I
them.
love it.
Yeah.
Do they have a Bridgeport accent?
And maybe they
Or is it
probably do.
squaw? Yeah.
Sounds like a baseball team. The Bridgeport
Squaw.
Parrots.
And they adapt it to the winter.
Yeah.
Wow.
They
That's
brought
crazy.
sweaters.
Right.
Stupid. All right, let's see what other topics we had on today's show. Obviously, George is number one topic.
Let's do George.
We could do George. Okay. George,
Take your pants off.
be prepared. Now, okay, so George, what's up? What you doing? What's been going on?
It's just by sheer coincidence. Today I released my Christmas album, which is called, there it is. It's called Stocking Stuffer, which is both the cleanest and dirtiest name I could come up with at the same time.
Is this your first album that is not a single word?
Yes, Steve, very good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's true. Yes, it's the
Good
first
trivia question.
It's the first album. It's 11 songs. It's all original stuff I wrote for Christmas.
So
This
Geor-
is just a mock-up, but yeah.
George
yeah.
sent me a digital early release, and I listened to every song. I already knew one of the songs on there.
Yes.
And I called
What'd you
George.
think?
I'm like,
What'd you
George,
think?
what did I think? I told you.
You were a little too surprised.
I was surprised.
It was like actually good.
Well,
George.
no, wait.
This is
This
great.
is
Like,
what I
what's
was
going on?
surprised. I was surprised because George took the time to make every single song, like the genre is different, the vibe is different, the story is different. There, and that's what I liked about it so much is most of them had like a really weird, provocative, funny story going on. Like, it's not just like, oh no, the Yuletime log. It was more like my name's Frank. Like there was just like it was good stuff.
You like the
man.
Frank song?
No,
Like
but
the
there
Frank
was a couple of them that really like. There was a reggae one. One of them was
Yeah.
reggae. It was.
I don't
freaking
know
awesome.
because George didn't send it to me, so I have no idea.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Here's a list of the songs on the back. Go ahead.
The Christmas.
I'm
pants.
getting what I want for Christmas.
So what's funny is a lot of these songs started as very straightforward, kind of jokey tunes, and I think it's the influence of Ted Lasso. Watching Ted
God,
Lasso.
What an interesting.
Right, and
influence.
this just hit me like about a week or so ago. I thought like, oh, I think it's this like Ted Lasso thing of you can be funny and you can be even biting, but that there's a sensitivity to it.
Yeah.
So a lot of these songs take these sort of turns at the end. Like I'm getting what I want for Christmas, which opens up the album, which to me is the most Christmassy sounding one. It's got this very kind of Christmassy vibe to it, and the
bells.
joke is that I'm getting what I want because I'm getting it for myself. Like I'm buying myself gifts. That's the
perfect,
joke.
yeah.
But at the end, it takes this twist that it's actually I'm not getting gifts for myself. I'm getting therapy for myself, and it's like I'm getting what I want because I need it and because I want to be a better person.
Yeah.
You know,
And because you live in the United States.
and because I live in the
Everybody
U.S. and the
heard
current
these
Hey-o.
thing.
My favorite,
What's your favorite?
eggnog with Werner Herzog.
That's a yes. So eggnog with Werner Herzog. Those are all real Werner Herzog quotes.
I laughed every time you did
Oh my
it.
God, that's so great. So my friend Alex
jungle is full of murder.
Radis sings on it with me. I do the Herzog voice, and they're all real Werner Herzog quotes that are so crazy. And so I made them rhyme, and it's the two of them are basically having a cup of eggnog and talking about about life and stuff. And yeah, that's a very, very fun it's like a nice little jazz trio. So I'm really, really happy with this, and it's available today over at my Bandcamp. I think Ian has a link that
I
he can show
sure
you.
do, and
So
it's
who
coming
produced
on
it? Was
up.
it
There it
Slough?
is.
So
Boom.
Slough and I kind of co-produced it. Yeah, Slough plays
Little
pretty much
QR
all the
code,
keyboards on
everybody
it.
scan
I did pretty much everything else on it. There's your QR code. I'm picking up physical discs tomorrow, which is very exciting.
Vinyl?
and- no vinyl.
Cylindrical
No vinyl.
thing.
Yes,
Those
we're going to
old
do
school
tubes.
ones?
Yeah,
Tubes.
we're going to do wax cylinders.
Wax cylinder, that's it.
And then line tape. Yeah.
I can't think of those wax cylinders without recalling this TV show I was watching, and it wasn't internet, it was TV back when there were TV shows, and this guy is showing like
I know exactly.
this ancient, really freaking old.
It's Antique Roadshow.
Yeah, it was the Antique Roadshow,
sure.
and they're talking about like, so this is what they did, and the machine spins this, and and this is how they recorded it, and then this is how they whoosh, and the thing just exploded in his hand,
Yep.
and the guy just goes, his hands were still holding it, but it wasn't there anymore. He just goes, like totally like.
A one-of-a-kind piece. There's no other one like this particular one in the world. And you can see the tracks go this way. And it's really
got a
cool
tremor.
because it records much
just
more
nervous.
accurately than... Oh, shit. Oh, my God.
I missed the best
Well,
part.
that does happen every once.
There you go.
Oh, he almost said the F word.
Yeah. Oh, for.
Isn't it funny how your brain
Well,
distorts
that does happen every once in a while. That can't be good.
Well, that does happen every once in a while.
Play it back right before
Oh,
it
that's
happens.
fantastic.
When it happens, yeah, this is a classic.
It's really cool
It's a
because
one-of-a-kind piece.
it records much more accurately than... Oh,
It did record much more accurately.
Yeah, he does.
It used to
I
record.
love how
much-
he's
Well,
like,
that
I'm not
does
going to say
happen.
the F word, but I am going to say
You
the S
should.
word. you
Gotta
know?
go. That energy's got to go somewhere.
They should have had the real time price go down too.
Yeah.
10,000
So-
$4.
I guess it wasn't Antique Roadshow. It was.
Yeah, that's not
Something.
antique.
I have to say this.
Is that real though? Is that real?
It's
That's
re-
real.
I mean,
Oh, no,
it's
it's
real.
real. I saw
Okay.
this on TV.
They are
So-
very fragile. I
Yeah.
have had them and they've broken.
So this is what I love about Ian.
I was gonna show this, but
Ian
anyway.
didn't miss a goddamn beat. That video
no.
was up before I finished my sentence. Was it the Antique Roadshow?
Yeah.
It was something
Of
close
course.
to it.
No, Ian
I have-
has some magical wizardry.
I have
thing
another
going
one.
on.
Have you ever seen this Werner Herzog in the jungle?
No.
Oh, is
let's
this
see it.
what he's filming? I believe he's filming Fitzcarraldo.
Oh, is that what it
I
is?
think so.
Let's just hear him a little bit. got loud. Sorry. This is one of my he has some quotes in here that are just.
A butterfly reminds me of my mother and the way she would bathe me
Tech TV,
in
thank
goat milk.
Goat milk.
The frog is the only creature to feel guilt.
So we are cursed. It's like a curse weighing on an entire landscape. And whoever goes too deep into this has his share of that curse. So we are cursed with what we are doing here.
Oh, it's a young Herzog.
It's a land that God, if he exists, has created in anger. It's the only land where creation is unfinished yet. Taking a close look at what's around us, there is some sort of a harmony. It is the harmony of overwhelming and collective murder. And we, in comparison to the articulate vileness and baseness and obscenity of all this jungle.
I bought my outfit
we
in
in
Banana
comparison
Republic
to
and I
that
hate them for it.
enormous articulation, we only sound and look like badly pronounced and half-finished sentences out of a stupid suburban novel.
So how
cheap
much of this is
novel.
a character that he's playing?
I don't know. I
it's-
kind of think it's real.
Could you imagine going on a date with this guy?
Yeah, right.
What would he talk about?
Ian, I don't know if you can go to the Bandcamp site, but play a little bit of Herzog.
Yeah, so it's Eggnog with Werner Herzog.
Yeah, was it track 7 there? Just I want you to hear Alex's voice too, because he's so earnest and lovely. That's the site there. Here we go.
Okay.
I'm having eggnog with Werner Herzog, a little holiday grog with a German demagogue. Let me say with glee, he's perfect Christmas company. It's hip to sip and listen to him quip.
These are all real quotes now.
Werner, how's the nog? Does it have enough cream?
What people call silence, I call a horrible scream.
So tell me, have you gone to see the Christmas fair?
I'm drawn to the extremes of love, hate, passion, and despair.
I hope you enjoy all the festivities.
I enjoy that madness is the key to my creativity.
Did you catch the movies at the holiday screening?
In the face of absurdity, you create your own meaning.
Having eggnog with Werner
That's the vibe anyway, yes.
So good.
Oh my gosh. I bet, were you like, oh my God, I got another one. This is
No,
great.
I was Googling, and I found, and there's so many. There's so many. But
So
then to make
what's
them rhyme was
what's
like
his
the,
beef? What's with this guy?
He's just like
Yeah,
this
what is with this
surrealist,
guy?
sort of fatalist
There's the
guy.
QR
But
code.
he's been on The Simpsons too, so he's aware. Like he played him not himself, but a character on The
Yeah.
Simpsons that was totally aware of these lines. And
so he knows he's kind of.
I think he knows, but he's just
leaning into it.
Yeah, leaning into it.
Okay,
And
all right. That's
as
good.
he gets older,
I like the self-awareness.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great. And there's whole websites about just all these weird quotes, and it was just fun to like. Because what I wanted to do initially was I thought, wouldn't it be fun to have him sing "Baby, It's Cold Outside"?
Oh yeah.
But all he ever sings is "Baby, It's Cold." So like, I really can't stay. Baby, it's cold outside. I must go away. Baby, it's cold outside. Baby, it's cold outside. He would just keep saying that. It was like one joke. I was like, okay, it's not. And then I'm driving. I'm thinking like, oh, Werner Herzog, like eggnog, Herzog. Oh
there it is.
man,
Oh, God.
done.
Yeah.
Done.
Done. Song written.
Song written.
That other one would be a good TikTok though, because 20 seconds.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's several million views right there.
There you go.
Do it. All right.
All right, George's album,
engineer that.
ladies and gentlemen.
So you can go pick that up if you'd like. You can get the download. It's going to be on all the streaming stuff on Saturday. As
Can
well.
you still
So,
go
yeah.
to a store and buy a CD? Does this exist?
There's a lot of independent CD. There's a great place
Yeah.
in Bethlehem called the Compact Disc Center, and they have vinyl, they have used stuff, and I love it there. And I love to just go look ththrough, and you can go get CDs, used CDs for like $2, which is
Yeah.
also like whenever I have a trip, or whenever I'm coming up here, I got my 3-hour ride to come up here. I'll just spend $5 and get 4 albums there that I like the covers of, or that I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the title of.
You
And
just
it's
listen to 'em
somewhat
on the
Where do you get the CD player from though?
It's in my car.
Oh, okay.
It's in my Honda
There you
Fit.
go.
Come
That's the
on.
Honda Fit.
Come on.
You have a CD player?
It's very seedy.
Yeah.
It's very
Very
seedy. He
seedy.
just sits in the corner. He's like, with a violin. Look at that CD player.
So the other topics that we have for today, other than George Robb, hooray, is Poe or no. Let's
Poe
see,
or
we'll
no.
play Poe or no. There's no music. I don't know why it's not saying it, but whatever. Just Poe or no. There should be music. Anyway, let's
no.
see. Poe. Yeah, you do the
Poe or
music.
no.
Let's see. Is she Poe or no? I don't know.
Here we go.
This is a classic thing
not
on
Edgar Allan
TikTok. It's a classic thing on TikTok where they're saying some crazy stuff. However, they also usually put on in the description or on the screen, this is satire. This is all just made up. But are they a Poe or no? So let's listen to what they say and see if you can diagnose them.
This is a picture from NASA of the rover of Mars. There's a rat in it. Like, how would Mars have rodents on it? If there was a rat on Mars, it was probably Werner von Braun. When you look at things from an unbiased point of view, NASA does not put out images that are not CGI. Does this look like a real image to you?
That's it?
Okay, if you're going to have a Werner von Braun joke, that's like, yeah.
Is that, it's too on the nose?
It's too on the nose.
It's Poe.
So that's, you're saying Poe. We could go to all of her.
I think it's a Poe.
You think Poe? Okay. We could. I mean, are there any of these other ones standing out to you? I love the globe. Flat Earth proof it's a globe, maybe. Let's see what that one.
The number one flat earth proof is how censored this topic is. On this app, I have seen full-fledged corn. I have seen sleeping bodies. I've seen people cursing and spewing profanities. I've seen DRUG use. I've seen actual misinformation that I could easily disprove and misinformation that can harm people. And yet the silly flurfers are the thing that they're worried the most about. It's such a silly theory with no substance to it, but for some reason I get banned off of every single platform. Even when I say that it's only my opinion, here's why I think this, and to take it with a grain of salt. This is satire for entertainment purposes only. TikTok would never do this. The number one flat earth.
So, with that in mind, what do you think?
I'm not even sure what her point is. She's saying that why are people so...
The flurfers get
exercise-
banned, like TikTok algorithm.
But do they?
They somewhat, sort of, not really. I mean,
Yeah,
they
that's-
usually say something else that's like out off the rocker, and then that's probably why they get banned.
Right.
But
I think there's tons of flat Earth stuff on TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
kind
a
of
lot.
The
So,
antithesis of the person's point, making it hilarious.
right.
She
Hence
is on
the
that line,
humor.
though. I could see
She is
it
on that
either
line
way,
where
yeah.
it's like, yeah, is it satire enough to even qualify for satire?
I think the problem is it's not that funny.
Right.
If it were funnier, it'd be more obvious
and perhaps
that
that's
it's a Poe.
Comedy's hard.
Comedy is hard.
Yeah, and I could also see her putting on that weird little personality situation, you know. But who knows? I mean, does she ever break out in any of the others? Like, does she show a different like personality in any of the other videos?
Does she break character, in other words?
Does
Is that
she,
what you're saying?
I don't know. Seems like she pretty much stays with the same skit. if you will.
How big is her viewership?
I mean, like the last one, she had like 200K or like 150K
not bad.
views.
It's
It's not.
I mean,
massive.
it's not 6 million. But
Hey,
Hey.
over here. Let's look at our numbers again. Let's go.
Speaking
where
of,
we- speaking of
the old
ourselves,
6M.
over here.
Professional
Hey.
TikToker reward.
Whoa! Look at that number right there. Boom.
look at it. Look at it.
Bang.
That's right.
no
M,
rhyme or
we're
reason
alive.
to it.
M is a million.
It's
A
because now.
million, and it's like exactly 6 million,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
the amazing thing.
Although our other NASA one did kind of pop off 60,000,
Yeah.
not quite as much. As
Now,
6
the
million.
next goal is you want to be.
60
You want to get
billion. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
1.1
We'll
billion.
work on that. We'll work on that.
and make it happen.
Okay, what are Poes? I don't get it. Oh yeah, this is
Yeah,
a
so-
question.
Yeah,
You know Poe Dameron?
Poe.
That's what we're talking about.
Poe Diddle.
Kidding.
The idea, is that if something is so satirical, it becomes indistinguishable from reality, or that when reality becomes so absurd, it becomes indistinguishable from a satire of itself, right? Like Alex Jones is a great example. You can't, even though the Onion apparently is going to try to do this, he's so extreme.
Yeah.
It's like if you just imitate him, it's a satire. I mean, he is a satire of himself in a
Right.
way.
You don't have to add any extra exaggerated content to satirize
Right.
that.
Yeah.
And so
person.
when we say something is a Poe,
can't.
what we now mean is that the person, it is a satire. It's not real. But you can't tell it's not real because the reality is already so weird.
Where does
Yeah.
that come from? That term?
From the guy.
Poe's Law.
Oh, it was a guy.
Yeah, who made the observation, yeah.
Yeah, Poe's Law was
Fred Poe, Joe Poe,
Joe
It
Poe.
was the
Joe
Popo.
Poe, Popo.
Popo.
What's his name?
I think that Alex Jones
Nathan Poe.
is a
Nathan
Poe.
Poe.
I think he's a Poe.
Yeah.
I think that is
Well,
a character that
yeah.
he came up with.
He
to
said
make
it's a
money.
character. It's definitely a character.
But then like if you're doing it for sales, is that a Poe? If you're doing it because you know
that point, yeah.
that's
Yeah, that-
like it's like political commentators in general. You know, like Sean Hannity's a Poe then because like or
Tuck.
Rush Limbaugh like did they actually believe what they said? Probably
Right.
not. But they know
But you're
they
right.
understand
Not
that's the thing.
not all things that are not all people who do not believe what they're saying are Poes per se. I think it specifically refers to satire that you can't tell is satire because the real thing is already so crazy.
Yeah.
But there is a whole continuum, and I was going to bring this up as well, of people, and especially on TikTok, I find this a lot, where asking whether or not it's a Poe is like not even a question you can ask. It's like when we say about people, they're not even wrong. Like they're not even
Right.
playing at the right or wrong game. And there's a lot of people on TikTok who, whether or not what they're saying is true is not the point. It's just entertainment, engagement, whatever. It's them. It's a character. They don't really even think about whether they believe it or not. It's just this is something.
They're Poe baiting.
Yeah. So, it's kind of like this post-truth kind of thing where and it's also the difference. The psychologists have a technical term for that. Do you know what that is?
No.
For when you're indifferent to whether or not something is true or not.
Some kind of disassociative something.
Narcissist.
The technical term in the psychological literature is bullshit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. Really. It is, and you look it up. There are peer-reviewed
Short and to the
published
point.
papers in the psychological research where on bullshit. And the idea is that if you don't care whether or not what you're saying is true or not, then you're not lying, right? Because lying implies you know what you're saying is wrong, but you don't believe it's true either. You're indifferent to whether it's true or
Doesn't
not.
actually
That's
matter in your
bullshit.
equation. Okay.
Yeah.
The reason you're saying it has nothing to
It has
do
nothing to do with whether it's true or
truth
not.
Yeah,
It
there's
could be
there's
true.
a
It could not be
secondary
true.
thing.
You don't care. That's not the point.
Wow.
And that's a lot of TikTok in my experience.
And that's
Okay.
Can we agree that this is a bad thing?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
Like because they just people justify it, I'm sure, by saying like, oh, like who cares? Like,
Yeah,
I'm getting
Steve
clicks,
and
I'm
I-
getting the thing, I'm getting
I
whatever.
still think Alex Jones is a terrible person, says Canadians. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We're not.
yeah.
We're not. That's
If he wasn't
It's
such-
not a defense.
yeah,
It's
no.
not.
How great is the Onion thing, by the way? I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
and the fact that the Onion coordinated with the families from
Yes.
Sandy Hook.
Yeah.
Although I think that there's another
It's being
hearing
contested.
today.
It's being
Yeah, or
contested.
like not tomorrow maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. they're-
Still, just the intent of the Onion reaching out to the Sandy Hook
Right.
survivors and being like, "What do you guys think? Are you okay
the
with this?"
Sandy Hook survivors gave the Onion money to up their bid
Right.
to
Right.
get the bid
That's-
on.
That's awesome.
On
Yeah.
another company that I think
InfoWars.
Alex Jones owns, right? Or
He's
at least is
affiliated with another
affiliated
company.
with it.
They're saying they're crying foul. They said we didn't give we had a higher bid and it was whatever, and so whatever. It's going to go before the judge.
Yeah, right there.
Nothing. It's nothing. Here's a good bid. There's a bid right there. It's nothing. I'm not
If he
saying
wasn't
anything.
such a
I'm a Poe.
POS.
Look at this Poe.
Yeah.
If he wasn't such a POS, he'd be kind of funny, but he's
That's the thing. It crossed over from being funny. Once you start dealing with families and the invasion of
Yeah.
of privacy
Right.
on these
Oh,
grieving families.
what he did
It
to
was
the
disgusting.
Sandy Hook families
like, yeah,
was
beyond
was despicable.
That HBO
horrible,
documentary was
horrible,
phenomenal.
horrible.
So well done and just like.
But also, like Jay and I know people personally, independent, like not
Just down the road.
outside the context of skepticism, just like as part of extension of our personal lives, who believe Alex Jones,
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
who think like InfoWars
Yeah.
is the truth.
The truth. Yeah.
And the rest of media is lying to you, and so they're victims of a con artist, in my
Right.
opinion.
For sure.
Again, it's not a defense because they're adults and they're
Yeah.
responsible for vetting their own beliefs and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, we do try not to go heavy against the victims of cons. You know,
Usually.
usually.
Yeah.
Don't get him started. Stop.
I'm kidding.
Calm
I'm
it.
kidding. I'm kidding.
Calm
It's
it.
all good.
What would we do? Somebody asked. If Onion handed InfoWars over to you guys, what would you do with it? That's an interesting. I don't know.
we don't have the infrastructure to deal with.
No, but
it.
like
Yeah.
let's say we did.
we
Let's
would
say,
give it to the Onion.
let's say
Yeah, give it
yeah.
right
Like,
back.
what would be the most effective thing? I think humor is the most effective thing
Yeah.
to counteract.
Yeah.
Break it.
To show how ridiculous that stuff is. Sometimes the best weapon is humor. To take the air out of it, something like a Daily Show, something like
Yes.
John Oliver.
I think it would be the perfect outlet for me to do a rant every day.
Yeah. Jay's daily rant.
Yeah. Yeah, because people buy into the emotion.
Jay Wars.
I mean, all the responses I got to last week, some people were upset. Some people didn't like that I got so vulgar and vocal and honest about my feelings about everything. A lot of people,
a smaller percentage than you think.
I thought it
but
was
the vast
wonderful.
majority, liked it because they
thought it was
felt the same
wonderful.
way.
Well, the thing that people need to know about that, though, that was spontaneous and genuine. That wasn't planned.
No.
Right.
Yeah, we forgot to script it last
Trust
we
me,
should've.
that was not planned.
Today we have a plan. It'll be
Yeah,
once
don't worry.
It started.
the punches
it was so
go.
funny. I watched it back. I had to watch it back because I had no perception of what took place. Because like when I see red, my time
You went into a
dilation
fugue
happens.
state.
Yeah. What I did was I started by screaming.
Yes.
I looked over there and I started screaming.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We
Because
all
of what that asshole said.
Steve and I looked up like, what the?
Yeah, like and it was
what's
real. And
about
Steve,
to happen?
But I could tell Steve knew. I could tell Steve knew it was going to be ugly because he kept going like this to
Yeah,
me,
there
like
was
Jay,
there
chill
was
out,
like,
chill
there was
out.
like the hand
You need some
thing of,
tactile, like
trying to
to
get
stop.
the child to like put the knife down. Get
But-
the
the
knife down.
knife
son.
down.
But
Put
it
the
is
knife-
it is telling. Look, yeah, I'm emotional and it hit me, and I happened to be on the air when it happened, and it hit me hard.
Well, let me say someone that was watching, like from the outside, that's not either one of you. Just barely, but I'm not one of you.
Yes,
To
you
me,
are.
it was so. It's true. To me, none of us are wearing pants, by the way. It was so cathartic to see, and what was great was it was like watching a brain, sort of discuss it with itself, because you had the two halves. You had the kind of emotional reaction, and then you had
It was like an angel devil kind of situation.
sort of like that, yeah. But
that's
but
what
I
we
think
have.
so many of us have that, especially within this community, especially that are like trying to be like rational thinkers and think of the best thing. And it's this internal thing that we're always
agree.
We're always dealing
I'm
with.
dealing with that too. We're all
course,
dealing
of
with
course.
that. It's like you have an emotional reaction to the world going insane.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like the inmates are running the asylum.
Right.
How could this have happened? How could people possibly do this?
Yeah.
And you have your moments where you just have your brain melt. But we are professional skeptics and science communicators, and we're like, we have to try to understand this from the perspective
But
of
sometimes-
psychology and whatever, all that stuff, because the other thing one other thing I always try to keep front of mind, and this is just generic, how do you deal with trolls? It does help me to understand. It's like they want you to have that reaction.
Yeah.
Right. That is the goal. They want to break your brain. And sometimes they are even more outrageous specifically so that you will be outraged.
Yeah, of course.
Then they try to turn your outrage against you.
Absolutely.
To show,
And-
oh, you're irrational.
And
you're,
so,
why
I don't
so angry.
I don't want to play
Facts
their
and logic.
game.
No, I get
You know,
that. I totally get
But
that.
there is a point. where
But
it's
but
like,
it's
you know,
legitimate though. It's like it is crazy. It is it is infuriating.
But
What has happened?
I
is
want to
infuriating.
limit childhood obesity by basically increasing infant mortality. My plan is
That'll lower it.
that way if there's no children growing up, obesity will go down and we'll be good to go. And
Oh my
we're
God,
fine
that's
that
so
way.
good. I can't take it. So I have, this whole thing with the J rant came up from the Friday live stream because every once in a while,
It's
like
like the
we'd be
J
talking
rant,
about
but it's the
something.
J rant.
Yeah.
It's on the bingo card.
But it
is. It's on
because
the
I
game.
get
It says
I
to
get
your bingo.
angry, like
Of course.
my process is immediately, like especially with things like that are intense like this, like. It's almost like a little panic attack, right?
Mm-hmm.
It kind of it washes over me, right? I feel it coming. I'm like, oh my God, I'm trying to hold it down,
Yeah.
but I know that my finger does not work well in that levy, and sometimes it gets really bad. And then I do my slow descent into sanity, and then I realize, okay, shit, man, I really got angry again or whatever. But my rational,
Here I go killing again.
right? But my rational brain wins out in the end because that's what I am 99%
Yeah,
of the time.
yeah, of course.
That's who I really am. And I had to admit to myself,
85.
like last week, it proved to me that I am emotionally affected by this stuff on a profound level. Because I'm like, I didn't have any bad emotional, the day came and went, and I was like, I didn't respond. I was just like, okay, that's it. It is what it is. I accept it. I'm not going to.
Well, it's like any trauma. Like I remember, somebody close to you dies, and like 4 days later, you break down into tears.
Yeah,
At
that's what
some
happened.
point,
Right.
like the dam breaks and the emotions
Yeah.
happen, and it could be triggered. And it is usually triggered by something. It's like you didn't realize you were holding it all in,
Right.
and you were processing, and you were dealing with things.
Even
and then,
unrelated sometimes are barely related to the
yeah,
issue. Like you'll
but
see
there's just a
thing.
moment
Yeah.
when like the wall comes down and
Boom.
and the emotion comes out.
But
It
I got to
happens.
say this though, everything I said when I listened back, I 100% agreed.
Yeah.
I agreed with myself. No, but it wasn't. I didn't say anything out of anger that I didn't mean. Because my
Yeah.
anger did not alter my thinking at all. My rational brain was feeding me that information. It's already there. I already thought of all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
I just yelled it. I just happened to yell it. So anybody that was offended, hey man, I'm sorry. I try very hard to control my blazing emotions that I'm dealing with all the time. But in the end, look, I'm getting a lot of positive feedback from people.
Well, I think it was cathartic for people.
It was. I think it was.
Catharsis,
But again, we have
yes.
to also acknowledge there are people who don't have that reaction to
Yeah, that's
some
fine.
political events,
And
they're welcome to watch our show and to be part of the
Yeah.
SGU family as well. And we get that, and we try to understand the differences. Right?
This is a no-po show, Steve. This is
we
legit.
believe what we're saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
You are not. It's not bullshit.
But I like George's analysis when because he knows us so well. Then he watched it back and he really saw you and I yin yang. Like, 'cause we do that a lot. Steve and I'm always like, let's get the really expensive stag. Steve's like, come on, Jay. People are not going to spend $200 on a hat. Okay, like, it's not going to happen. I'm like, all right, I'll dial it back. It doesn't have to be made out of rare Egyptian leather. Okay, fine. No, but we complement each other that way, and it is the SGU. I mean, our compromise point makes the SGU, in my opinion, because everything is a conversation between me and Steve. Even what happened on the show, Steve and I had a conversation afterwards to talk about it, which is completely private.
Right, right.
And I appreciate that.
I liked what you also said about that, Jay. You don't know what you're thinking because there's something about like I feel rage. I express rage because I'm full of rage, and you said in essence like. You don't know how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Like I just process it differently.
Yeah.
Which is also a nice thing for people to know. Like you don't need to be. It doesn't
Whatever
mean you
you
care
do is
any
fine.
less.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you care any less about the situation or about the horrors that are happening in the world.
People process emotions differently.
Process emotions
It's like,
differently.
and Kara's very good about this too, because she has a very high emotional intelligence.
Right.
That's her job on the show. But
I've
she's
never heard her yell ever.
Yeah, but she deals with people who are dying.
Right.
Yeah.
But she says, and this is sort of this is clinical. It's also the standard, in the profession. There's no right or wrong way to process your trauma, to process your grief, to process your emotions. It's all good. You do what you need to do to process your emotions.
Yay, carbs.
It's fine. And then
Too real.
obviously there are healthy ways to work through it.
Right.
And I think we've talked on the show about the fact like the stages of grief thing is bullshit.
Yeah.
It's not that people don't do those things,
Right.
but there is no like one way to process and go like you don't go through in some specific
They
order.
can be ping-ponging. They can be all at the same
right,
time.
you
They
can
But
go
Steve,
back.
do you
and
ever
forth,
have
whatever.
any
skip steps.
cathartic emotional release? Because
Sure.
I'm telling you, like after I did that, I felt very different than I did the day before.
Yeah.
Like that needed to do that. I don't know what it is. You know how like swearing actually can
Right.
lower your pain?
Yeah. Yes, it does.
Higher
there
threshold,
is a real connection to like being able to blow that hot, I call it the hot air because it is. It's all you know what I mean? But
I tend to intellectualize, which
yeah.
is fine.
But that's where you get your comfort from.
Yes.
The intellect.
So what I do is I write a blog post where I completely destroy somebody
I love that.
logically,
Yeah.
and that feels really good.
Yeah.
Or I go into the comments section and deconstruct some asshole
Yeah.
who's making a stupid point because that makes me feel good.
Yep. Okay. How about you, George? I mean, how do you let it out, man?
Write a song about it.
I wrote a song about
I
it. and it can't go.
sometimes write a song about it, but the songwriting, if you're mad and writing a song,
not
it's never
fast.
good. And it's not fast, and if it is fast, it's not usually good.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll get an idea of like, oh, that could be a song at some point, or
Yeah.
that's an interesting turn of a phrase which I may put into my notebook and then use 6 months down the road or whatever. But to me, I mean, exercise was always a really good thing of like,
People
I'm
do
gonna
that-
go
do that.
run 10 miles, or I'm gonna go swim 6 miles or something like that, but even that sometimes is like, I gotta put the shoes on, I gotta put the thing,
Yeah.
there is a I used to outburst a lot more than I do of late, and I enjoy that kind of, you get to that point of really wanting to explode, and you take this kind of second and breathe through it, and that to me is very cathartic because it's like I want to explode, but I'm showing that the monkey brain is subject to the rational brain,
Right.
and I'm going to take this very cleansing
Yeah.
breath, and it feels like I'm maybe it's self-serving or whatever, but it feels like, oh, I'm in control. The issue that I'm dealing with is not in control. The emotion is not in control. Like so when you're frustrated, you're doing something, you want to throw your keys across the room, or you want to throw your phone across the room or
Yeah.
something. You take this like second, and it's very empowering of just like, I am like, this is nothing in the span of my life. This is relatively speaking, and things are important. So that's over the last maybe 5 or 10 years, I kind of try and do it that way.
But it is interesting, like when you get hit with extreme emotions, and this is me talking out of my experience. Like if I have an intense cry, right, over something,
Yeah.
my God, I mean, that is an immense release. Like
Yeah.
it is the release for me.
Yeah.
Like if I get to that
Sure.
and I'm like so overwhelmed that like tears come and I'm like sobbing and all that, there is something magnificently cathartic about it. And I got to tell you, it's very close to rage. Like me yelling and being angry lets it out kind of like crying does. Because I have like, I don't know. I mean, am I getting a dopamine hit? I don't know what's happening in my brain, but like I feel relaxed after that happens.
What's the last surprising thing that made you cry?
My cat died.
Oh, recently?
Yeah, like 6 weeks ago.
Oh my gosh, I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. I didn't know.
That
was our first connection.
I know it was absolutely.
our
I know I
first
should have called you,
connection.
George.
Oh my God, you
George,
should have.
sing the
Yeah.
song. I need to cry.
Seriously. Oh my
no,
gosh.
yeah, she died. I had her. Look,
Yeah.
but this was one of those ideal situations. She was healthy her entire life. I had her for 17 years.
17
I
years.
never had to bring her to the vet for anything major ever.
Oh my gosh.
She was with me through so many different versions of myself, relationships, all sorts of stuff, and she ended up like being a very important member of my family with the 2 kids.
Sure.
She really bonded with my dog, and it was one of the most adult responses I've ever had to death. Where I was there, I watched her die right in front of me, like she died at home. I didn't, because she didn't. She wasn't in pain, it was just one of those things. I'm like, I could bring her into the vet. They can charge me a couple of grand.
Yeah, right.
Give her some medication. I've been through this many, many times. I'm like, no, I'll bring her in if she's in pain. If not, I'm going to let her die where she's comfortable.
Yeah.
And then I was very upset the day that it happened. My kids were like, they were blown away. 'Cause
Sure.
it was like the first
That's all
real
they
death.
know.
Yeah.
That's all they know. Yeah.
And then
They were how old were they when your dog
17.
when your dogs died?
it was long ago where they
They were
weren't
too
even
young.
that aware
They
that it
weren't
was
processing
happening.
it. Yeah.
So this was their first experience, and I wanted them to have the experience because it's very teaching. So then, I'm like, okay, I'm really sad. I don't feel like I'm going to cry anymore, and I felt lucky that I had her, and I feel that she was lucky, like I told you, like Oscar was lucky to have you. Like she was loved,
Yeah.
like her whole life, and I'm like, she got the best goddamn swing at the bat that most people get. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like it sucks. I miss her. We talk about her. My kids, my mother-in-law bought a cat statue. We put where I buried her. Like we talk about her all the time. My son Dylan. Oh my God, I have to tell you this quick side story. It's so cute. He goes, Daddy, come on, play Minecraft with me. I want to show you something. All right, cool. I love it. I love jumping on playing Minecraft with him. He made this underground lair. I won't go into all the details, but it was like you got to go through lava to get to it, and you almost die by the time you fall through and you get to the bottom thing, and then it's like through a secret painting here, secret painting lever, opens a secret door, go over here, up the stairs, all these like, it was like very Tomb Raidery.
He showed it to me. Yeah.
And then we get to the room where he's got my cat, a little tuxedo cat in the game that he named Sophie.
Yeah.
And I was so moved by that.
Oh,
and he's
that's
like, I
sweet.
made this for you, Daddy. He goes, I know that we don't have Sophie anymore, but we have her in Minecraft. I was just like, oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah. Well, that's
that's
a good one.
I miss her,
Yeah.
but I really accept her passing, which is very odd to me because I am diametrically opposed to death. I just think the whole idea of death is like so horrible. So I lost my pet. I cried. I feel bad about it. I miss her, but
Yeah. It's cathartic.
I know what life is. Like we're all going to die. She got a good shake at it. You know,
Yeah.
she wasn't abused. Nothing. I mean, just imagine like you live in a reality where you're completely taken care of. You're loved.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, like if I come back, I want to be like a dog on some like
Yeah.
English manor or something. Like you're kidding? That's the way. Like a good owner.
Well taken care of pets. I don't think you can have a better existence because you just don't worry about a goddamn thing. That's really what sucks about life.
dog has a
is
pretty
the
good life.
worrying.
Yeah.
Right.
As an adult, like I was trying to explain this to my kids, I'm like, like as you get older, guys, like your responsibilities
Tell you what,
get
kids.
stacked up.
It's coming.
Yeah,
But there's an
want them
arc to it,
understand.
though. You're right. And it kind of peaks at like where we're getting a little bit past the peak now, because you get more and more responsibility, and then as your parents get older, you get into that point where you're taking care of your parents and your kids. You're at like
Sandwich.
maximal responsibility. You're taking care of everybody. Everything is on your shoulders. And
Gen
then
X, baby.
and then after that, I think people get happier as they get older. You think people would get more anxious or whatever as they get closer to the grave, but people actually just generally speaking get happier. And I think part of it is that you just don't give a shit about anything anymore.
Right.
And you, not in a bad way, in a good way,
there's
you
a proportional
realize that
understanding.
most of the stuff we worry about is not worth worrying about it, and I'm just not going to worry about it.
Yeah.
And therefore, it's like you worry about the things that are important,
Yep.
which is really your relationships. You know, obviously people need to have like basic security and, you know, stability and things like that.
But if I want to wear these pants, I'm going to wear
I'm
these
gonna wear
pants.
these fucking pants.
I don't care. I'm going
Yeah.
to pull them up to here, and I'm going to be comfortable.
I'm going to eat dinner at 3 o'clock in the afternoon because I'm
All good.
hungry.
You know what?
And I don't care what it looks
I'm
like.
going to watch this movie again, even though I saw it 400 times. I don't care.
You know what's funny? I realized when you start to get, when you get into your 50s, you know, late 40s, 50s, and you're hanging out with your friends and you're talking, you start to hear people like talking about how like, I like to go to bed at like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and they get like this wicked early time. And I remember the first couple of times I heard it, I wasn't doing that yet.
Yeah.
I wasn't there. Like a couple of, you go to bed that early? What the fuck? Like, what do you, wow, okay. You know, I was like, so weird, you know? Then it started to happen to me. Like my kids have to get up ridiculously early for school. So we just started to shift to go, like, start talking about bed around 7:30. And I'm telling you, my wife is so happy when we're in bed. Like we finally settled the house down and we're in bed, and it's like it's not crazy late.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, it's not so bad.
Especially in the winter.
Because I would
it's
be
dark. Yeah.
I would be getting dressed to go out
Oh my
in
God.
my 20s at that time.
I'll be in bed at 10:30, and I'll think like, I had gigs that would start at midnight.
Yeah.
We used to play in New York City at this club, and the first set was at midnight. And I'm thinking like, I can't even fathom doing that now.
Oh,
Like,
forget it,
you
yeah.
know, and then we would play till 3, and we'd drive home, and I'd be home at 6, or whatever it was, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, now it's 9 o'clock. I'm thinking like, oh, okay.
With my band,
we're good.
we would pack our cars after the show, and we'd go to a diner, and it'd be like we'd be there till like 3, 4 in the morning.
Oh,
by the time
yes.
everything's said and done, by the time you cash out with the at the bar and all that stuff, I'm like, I don't even 4 in the morning is when I wake up in bed. That's my experience with 4 in the
That's
morning.
the first
now.
P.
Yeah, right, definitely.
Out of 6. But then occasionally, like, then we'll have some gig or something that we're doing, and we are up till 1, you know, or whatever. And that to me is like, oh, we can still do it. We can still do it. If we wanted to, but
we couldn't do it every night.
couldn't every night.
Definitely
every
not.
night.
Somebody says, "What is this stream? We're bonding over here.
What
all
is
right?
bonding over
Relax
here.
over here."
Kuvailo? Ik kuvailo.
It's George. He always makes us talk about
I
feelings
know.
and shit.
Feelings and things and history and dead animals.
I think it's funny.
What a
Somebody
nerd.
stumbles on it. Like this guy stumbles on us, right?
No,
on
he's
TikTok.
in the Discord. So he's there.
Oh, okay. I was just
there.
thinking, my vision was this guy's going like this on TikTok. I don't need to see another Fortnite video.
Yeah, it's like,
No,
what is this
no.
crap?
Ooh, these
What the hell are these guys?
what weird Three Stooges tribute is this?
Can you get older and more white than these three guys? You know, it's like, what's that? Wait, are they crying?
This
There's
is
no
like-
crying on TikTok.
Yeah.
You know?
There's lots of crime.
I'm trying to think like which way the before and after picture goes. I'm trying.
Yeah.
Is it this way? Is it this way? I'm not sure. Like
Anyway, so other
the hair
topics.
transplant. The hair transplant company. I'm like,
Your brain in space.
Your brain in space. So,
Ooh.
Steve, you wrote about this.
The
right?
question is, would you rather be gray or bald?
Right.
That's
Oh,
the question.
no contest. No contest. Oh, this whole. Okay, let me before we go to
Yes,
space.
go ahead.
So did you? So what is his name? What's his name? The guy from Full House has cancer.
Yeah.
Dave Coulier.
Dave
Dave
Coulier.
Coulier has cancer, and so he's getting treatment, and so he's
Yeah.
bald. Now Uncle Jesse, what's that actor's name?
Yeah.
Stamos.
John Stamos did a little post with him in solidarity, and he put on a bald cap, like with makeup, and like to look like he was bald. So the two of them were like, doing this thing, like, oh, like I'm bald too, like, but it was makeup.
Yeah.
Is that shitty?
Why didn't he really shave his
Why
head?
didn't he really shave his head?
Oh, because he would do that. You know,
Yeah, who would want to do that?
Yeah,
Like,
I
can
mean,
you imagine?
It's John
getting to the po-
Stamos. Come on.
But then to sort of be like, oh, I'm in solidarity with my. It's like,
But you're not really.
you're not really, right?
Yeah.
Because people were saying, oh, at least he's there. But I'm like, no.
What if he's shooting though? If he may not have had the option. to
Maybe,
do it.
but like, okay.
I always like to look for the external.
No, I get it. But then put a wig
But
on
you're
for
right.
that, right?
But
It
you're
just seemed
right.
really,
But you're right.
Easy and cheap.
I would just. I don't know. It's weird. Yeah, because if you're in that situation, you either do the whole thing or
Right.
you don't do it.
Right.
I don't
Which
know.
also pisses me off of like the great sacrifice of like a person with a full head of hair shaving their head.
God
oh my gosh,
forbid.
you're so brave. You're gonna have to only wait like 4 weeks until something comes back. Like, oh my God, you're so brave.
Yeah, it's not.
Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself.
But
like
George,
you should have a podcast
you're
about
lucky,
this.
George.
Oh, I'm so lucky.
And I'll tell you why. Because you have a really
the right head.
cool-looking bald head. If I shaved my head, I would look like
Dude,
bad. It would
I
be just
literally
awfully
get
bad.
treated differently when I'm wearing a hat. I
Why? What
literally.
do you mean? Why?
People are friendlier. I literally get treated
Really?
differently. Yeah.
You have the most
I
welcoming
mean, I'm sure
face.
there's bias that I'm seeing, but it's just like if I have the rare occasion I'm wearing some kind of a cap or a baseball hat or like a hoodie or some kind of a like I love the cover of this because I have this Christmas hat, which is totally justified. You know,
Yeah.
and it's like I already look like probably 10 years younger here because I have a goddamn hat on.
Yeah,
But you do look cool. Your whole look it
It's
works.
the line is that's the least shitty solution to a shitty situation. It's the least shitty one. But
This is one of those
unlike,
things.
look at you two guys. Like, oh my god,
George, this is one of those things
Fantastic.
that you shouldn't worry about.
Yeah,
I know.
It's
definitely.
Just, it is what it is. You look great. It's
Yeah, I'll go back to my empty house by myself. It's all good.
I saw George do a play.
But is that your baldness? Is that why you?
It's really funny.
let me hang on to that delusion. That's the reason.
Hair
All right.
makes a massive difference in someone's aesthetic, right?
Oh god, well our Gilligan's Island thing.
Absolutely.
We did. I don't know if that photo's anywhere available, but we did a Gilligan's Island thing for in Vegas, and I shaved and had Professor Wig. I was the professor. You were
Yeah.
Gilligan. It was a great skipper. It was great. We won. We won
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah.
And nobody knew who I was.
Yeah. Oh God.
Nobody knew who I was.
Yeah.
I was on stage for 3 days, 8 hours a day.
Well,
and I walked into the party, and they're like, "Who's that guy that just walked in?"
Yeah.
So when we were playing our LARP, our live action role playing thing. So
Yeah.
like whatever, I'm in my 30s, right? Playing with a bunch of kids in their 20s
Yeah.
mostly, and they thought I was in my 50s because even though I'm in my 30s.
Right.
And then I played this character that he was a monk, so I had a monk wig on.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's a brown hair,
With a
kind of-
bald in the
with
middle,
a little bald
and
spot,
the
but with
hair.
the
Yes.
bowl cut thing.
Yeah, the mo.
And I looked at 16,
Yeah.
and nobody recognized me.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Like completely didn't recognize
It's
me. It's
amazing.
like, dude, it's a fucking wig.
No,
Yeah.
we had a thing at my
But
gym.
changed the whole vibe though.
We had like a back when I was going to this gym regularly, there was like a gym appreciation day. So you would come, you're supposed to wear that gym's clothing. So just they always had theme days or whatever. And I was like, oh well, I was the same age as this one Coach Jim. So I shaved, I took my glasses off, I put a wig on, and had a little thing said my name is Coach J. Figuring let me be all the way. I showed up and like you heard this murmur of like, who's this guy with this terrible wig? Like what? Nobody knew it was me. They thought some random person had walked off the street and was trying to get into the gym for free. Until I finally like said something, and then it kind of like registered. But like people had no idea. I'm like, I gotta go rob a bank. Or
Yeah.
do
You
something,
could
or
totally
commit
get
some
away
kind
with
of
it.
insurance fraud or
People
something.
see you. People they get a gestalt of a person, and it's basically their sex, their rough age category, basically
Right.
young, middle,
Right.
old,
and large features or something.
and but like if you're gray, you're bald or whatever.
Yeah,
and
you get
that's
you
pretty
get
much
filed
it.
in that
And
in
your
that bald
race, if I didn't
cabinet.
say that, yeah.
And so
that's
then
it.
like people can't go. That can't be George because he's not in that cabinet.
Right.
It's
When I saw your
amazing.
play and you had a wig on,
Oh, I shaved for that. Yeah, we were doing spam a lot.
It changed your face.
Totally.
And then I saw a picture of Patrick Stewart when he was
right.
testing for Picard.
Yes, they
and
had the wig.
And I think they put a wig on him, and I'm like, that's a vacuum cleaner salesman. Like wow.
Roddenberry wanted him to have a wig.
He
was like,
looks so much better bald. He's
Yeah.
more intense with the bald head. Like it just works perfectly with the character. Anyway, I mean, I love you. I
appreciate
If you had
that
hair
very
down to your ass, I'd still want to work with you.
I have hair around the ass.
Yeah.
Does that count?
Well,
or
show
no?
it to me. I'll let you.
All right, good. Moon. Sorry, speaking of Picard.
The moon. No, space.
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 That's no
So your
moon.
brain in space. So Steve,
happens,
I don't know, you want
Steve?
to talk about some
Turns
space
to pudding.
things?
No, nothing happens. It's fine. Your
All right,
brain
move on.
space is fine.
All right.
So there was a study.
Let's
NASA.
go to
Remember when
space.
we spoke to the NASA person, and we said, "What are you going to do about prolonged microgravity and getting to what's the technological fix to getting people to survive comfortably and be healthy long term in space?" And they basically said there is no technological fix, at least nothing that is going to happen anytime soon. So, like with respect to going to Mars and back, what are you going to do about the radiation? What are you going to do about the microgravity? Their answer was, we're going to get there fast, and we're going to do medical research to mitigate the negative health impacts on people. That's their answer.
Yeah, that is the answer.
It's like radiation shielding. It's like there's not much you can do.
We could do it, but it's so freaking heavy to put that.
You
up
couldn't do it in a ship.
Yeah.
Right.
Water.
And what about like simulated gravity? Like, forget about it. They were like, we're not going to be spinning spaceships around.
Yeah,
You know,
all
not-
that
not
cool stuff
happening.
that we saw in all the movies.
Maybe
and
a
all that.
space
It's gonna
station.
be all elastic bands, right?
There's one company that doesn't fully mitigate the effects. It helps a little bit with the muscle loss, but
And the bone density.
Right.
so the microgravity is just a killer because your fluids shift, it changes your eyes and everything, you know. And so this was a study saying, well, does it affect their cognitive function? Because that's I
Pretty
understand
yeah, it's pretty
astronauts
serious.
need to be able to function when they're like manning a space station. And what they found was, so they looked at however many astronauts. That's a big number. They've been doing it for a while. They looked at them before a 6-month mission, and then early, mid, late mission, and after their 6-month mission. And they did a standard battery of cognitive tests on them. And there was really just a little bit of a cognitive slowing on a couple of tasks, not all of them, early on, and nothing sustainable. And then afterwards, they were fine. So there doesn't appear to be any long-term negative effects
good to
for
know.
the brain, at least with the amount of data that we have.
Can they just send dumb people?
Yeah.
That way, it's already like
So they don't have as far to fall.
As far to fall.
But when we can legitimately, alter people's DNA and everything, like we could put in, like tardigrades have radiation protection
at the DNA
at
level.
the DNA level.
Yeah.
George, did you hear about this?
That's well, I know they can survive space travel.
But
and
they
stuff,
literally studied it, and they have proteins that protect the DNA.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if it was to be from solar radiation or any of that stuff.
Right.
Who knows? But they do. That is there. We can see what is happening genetically, and
that's the question. Do we want to genetically engineer space traveling humans?
It will happen.
You think so?
Oh my God.
And how much will they look like us?
They will.
Will it be this like brain inside of a rock?
No, you have to
basically?
turn it.
Or maybe they'll be really sexy. Yeah.
I think they're
only
going to
hope.
look like gray aliens. I mean,
think so?
that's what's going to change.
Is that what it is? Those are actually our future selves visiting us. They're just.
There is when I was researching this, though, there is a private company planning a space station called Haven 1.
Yeah.
So now there's a bunch of private, because the ISS is kaput after like 2030.
by New Haven, right?
Yeah. So there's a few different private companies that are putting up their own versions of space stations.
Axios.
Yeah, Axios and there's one like the Voyager station or something. And then this Haven one, they are planning on, not the initial modules, but they are planning on modules to go up in the 2030s that they say they're going to rotate.
And they might take some of the pieces off of the ISS and start them, right? They'll be like take the new, like as an I think.
Well, Axios will do that, but they're going to eventually jettison all the.
Well, they have to,
ISS,
yeah, but they're going to repurpose some of them temporarily until they get more of them, and then they'll.
Well, it'll be a module of the ISS initially, and then
Yeah.
when they ditch the ISS, it'll be a standalone module.
That's
But by then, it would have added a couple of pieces. That's the Axios.
Did you see
the
Axios?
Jerry Lewis one? The Haven satellite. People
you
like
see
falling
it?
all over.
Did you see?
We're in space and
Jerry
kind of.
Lewis and zero gravity.
Oh
would
my
have been
God!
pretty
Seriously?
funny.
Right.
All right. So the Axios is an observatory that the space observatory. I hope they do it. It's so freaking cool. It's a glass room. You go in it. It's all glass,
Yeah.
and you're in outer space. It's just like
Yeah, of course.
freaking awesome. That I would not. I don't know if I could handle that.
Yeah, you don't know until you're there.
Yeah. Look what happened to what's his face to Captain Kirk.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jay, if you remember, you couldn't handle the Planck experience on VR.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
I do have a fear of heights. I mean, I think it's legitimate because you can die very easily.
And it's it's one
If you're
of the
inch
like
off the
innate
ground.
fears.
Yeah.
Is fear of heights and fear of falling.
Yeah,
so
Speaking of Kirk, did you see the new Star Trek Kirk thing?
yeah,
No.
I saw it. It was freaking awesome.
It's pretty damn cool.
Is it?
It's like a 7-minute, 8-minute thing done with like all the families agreed, and I think Shatner actually did it, and they de-age him, and it's really good.
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the through line, the story is okay, but just the
But
way
the
it
technology is
looked,
the
oh
thing.
my gosh! And there's a Spock, and
Yeah.
it's
if you watch
yeah.
it, keep in mind while you're watching it that we will be able to fully recreate any
Yeah.
TV show with their voices, with their likeness, perfect,
Yeah.
seamless. It's all going to come down to the writing. And I don't know how you're going to. This is the thing that I find interesting is how are they going to translate human acting into that, right?
Yeah.
Because, the magic of a good actor and the emotions that they convey Like that is you feeling a movie or a story. Like
Well, you'll
that,
have the avatars. Hope initially it'll be based on someone's actual performance,
Mocap.
which then gets
if they mocap it, then
transformed.
I think we could do it.
But then eventually you'll get these algorithms that'll
Yeah,
be
you're
able to
right.
just be like,
Yeah.
oh, the sadness thing, dial it up to 4, you know, and you're like, or whatever.
11.
It's I forget what it's called. It's like it's a date and reunification, or it's like a single word.
Yeah, it's
title. Is that what it's called?
reunification,
something
yeah.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
It
was awesome.
happens right at the end of Generations. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, no, that's not it. It happens at the end of Generations, where like he's sort of resurrected from the thing. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Just give him 10
pretty
seconds.
cool.
Give him 10
Yeah,
seconds.
there it is.
30
yeah.
years later, Star Trek gives Kirk and Spock the ending they always deserved.
Yeah, it's
what is it?
Yeah, I mean the Michael Giacchino did the. I think that's the way you say his name. Did the music for it.
Unifications.
Savak is in it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no spoiler, but it's like, you know, he kind of goes to heaven, sort of. It's like kind of, it's cool. It's and just the look of it, and he even turns into himself from the series for a second.
Yeah.
And it looks really good.
Yeah, I want more Star Trek, the original series. I could watch a few more seasons of that.
Yeah.
All right, what were we talking about?
I don't know.
Brains in space.
Well, we were doing
yeah.
Brains in Space, but I
Right.
think
Brains
we
are fun.
kind of...
Steve, why do some zombies want to eat brains? Why wouldn't they just want to eat any of the tissue? What's with the brains?
Well, they need the fatty tissue from the brains. It has
Okay.
the nutrients that they need.
But does it bother you when those schlocky zombies actually say brains? Because I don't like zombies talking.
They shouldn't be able to talk.
They shouldn't. Yeah, I hate that. I don't like that.
Brain.
I know, right? Oh, we play. The game is good though.
Yeah.
Plants vs Zombies is a very fun game.
See, but I always liked the 24 days later, whatever. 24,
Yeah,
that was the,
Infected?
20
I like the infected.
Yeah.
It's different. It's a cool, different
because
version.
they can talk. They could be able to yell. They'd be able like that rage thing. That felt like a really good fix in
But it-
terms of speed and
But you know, I
But
don't.
Cognition.
those are different. That's
Yeah.
rage virus.
right.
Yeah.
They're not zombies. They're
Right,
not
right,
undead.
but they're acting as a zombie.
They're a zombie-like. Yeah.
Yeah, they're zombie. Like
Yeah.
they're in the genre. I
agree.
like them. They're definitely a good one-off. But I do.
I also like the Last of Us fungal
Yes.
zombies
Yeah, that's
because
pretty
then
cool.
like the fungus is the
Yeah.
living thing and it's just a meat puppet. You know.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah.
That is scary, and it's scary because that if any of it could happen, that is the most likely. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I asked you guys that
The
at a
zombification.
panel at Dragon Con before I really knew you.
Yeah.
We sort of knew each other, but not like that.
Hello.
And it was I believe it was just you and Bob. Maybe you were there as well. I don't remember, but it was a panel on zombies. And I said, "What's the most? If you had to put your money on the most realistic kind of zombie thing happening, what would it be?"
And Bob said it right.
I think you both were like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
it would
It's got to be
this
some kind of brain infection.
brain infection kind of thing."
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah. Either that or Cthulhu takes over the world and brings necromantic energy and animates all undead. That's a
That-
close second.
Here's to hoping.
That would
Anytime
be good,
now.
though.
Well, isn't that? I think that they're getting a cabinet position. Isn't that the
Cthulhu.
Cthulhu?
That would be a great. That's a great satire.
Yeah.
Is
Non-
having a
an-
pointing Cthulhu.
Cthulhu to what? What should
To
he be running?
be-
He'd be
well,
what,
he
like
would
physical
be-
fitness or no, like
The head of the National Institute of Mental Health.
he's at the press conference.
No, the thing is, every time you get to the conference, everybody goes crazy.
Everybody goes insane.
Yeah, like very straightforward questions, but they're batty. Like they're just like
And
Is it
Mr.
true these sausages are actually in the fridge and they're talking back to the dreamscape?
No, you have this. You set it up. There's always a piece of paper in front of those guys. And is it true, Mr. Cthulhu, that young children are having trouble understanding, how to, deal with bullying in school? And he's like, and the guy's like,
His brain melts.
Yeah, we could do it. We could do that. We need to do another SGU video.
That would be a good idea though to have like just ridiculous cabinet.
Right.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
like
Who else? Yeah, who else
Cthulhu.
would be in the cabinet? Who else like?
I mean,
It'd have to be a mass murder. of
What?
some
Yeah.
kind.
Where does Hitler fit into the
yeah,
cabinet?
where does Hitler fit in?
So they resurrect Hitler. If they resurrected Hitler, what cabinet?
he should
position
be-
would it
He's
be?
in charge of the roads. Didn't he build
He
the
should
road?
be. Yeah. Mussolini would be like transport, right?
yeah.
Mussolini would be transportation
Transportation
secretary. Mussolini.
That's not good.
Okay.
That's bad.
Yeah, well,
awesome.
Hannibal Lecter's got to be in there too, right? I mean, definitely. He's like he probably
loves
will
Hannibal
be.
Lecter.
He probably will be, which is the crazy thing. So
Yeah.
he should be
The late great Hannibal.
some
The
kind
late
of
great
food and drug, maybe, or like
late-
something about culinary.
Head of the
like
FDA.
FDA. Hannibal Lecter's FDA. Okay.
Oh my god! No, but don't guys, we can
Don't
make
give
up.
them
You can
ideas.
make up cabinet. They're making
true.
up. You could make up any
Right.
wacky cabinet thing you
Yeah.
want to call them. You know?
Right,
You could
right.
make them the something czar.
Yeah.
Right. The fava bean, czar of fava beans.
Ambassador to Italy.
That would be
Council on
awesome.
fava bean
yeah,
awareness.
I like that.
Oh boy.
my gosh.
Okay, what's happening now?
That's good. We can laugh about it. While we're still
Yeah,
allowed to.
really, yeah,
while we're
great.
still allowed to.
Great.
Yes, while there's still permission is still.
And if you want to laugh with us, you can come to Notacon 2025, with,
Yeah, I mean, he's so good.
where
Smooth
we
as shit.
where we will do something. I don't know. We'll do fun stuff. Skeptical Mystery Tour, as we're calling it.
Why is it called that,
Roll
George?
out. Roll out for the Skeptical Mystery Tour.
Very good.
What is it, George?
Boom.
We're going to have a Beatles sing along.
Yep, Saturday night.
We're going to reanimate George Harrison.
Yes, we are.
Boy,
We're in mid process. I think we'll get there.
I think we'll
yeah.
get there.
All right, it's
I
happening.
don't mind being alive. I just
So last time we did an '80s theme, and people dressed,
dressed.
wore
They
costumes.
did dress.
We didn't
Yeah.
ask them to, and they did.
No,
They
did.
did not
so
come naked.
cool.
Yeah, that was nice. We
So,
didn't
yeah.
explicitly say to wear clothes.
So
but
we're going to
they
have
did.
a sort of a Beatles themed sing along with some really fun surprises that are going to be.
Yeah, we
you,
have some
you guys
wacky
don't even know
stuff.
yet.
Yeah.
But it's yeah. So we're
I
hoping
love
people
being
dress for
surprised
that.
at my own events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've emailed George several times at this point, pitching to him a really weird idea. And the thing that is awesome about George is George is a
He'll tell
yes
you
and.
He's
flat
a yes
out,
and.
no.
George
Yeah.
is a yes
I am
and
a yes
person.
ander.
George never
I am a
goes,
yes ander."
Jay, I don't know. George is
Inside, I do that.
Yeah, I know, but you make me feel
Fucking
good because
Jay,
I
really?
come at George.
And how would that work exactly?
That's my job.
I'll
George.
find something on the internet,
Yeah.
right? I find something wacky. I'm in the heat of like, oh, I think I'm inspired. George, what do you think about if we do
If we
this
made
thing?
cheese live on stage. all right. I hear you. But maybe instead of cheese, it's like a song or something. Yeah.
We'll play a cheesy song. All right, good. We'll do it. No, but it is fun working with the group of people that we have. This
Yeah.
is my
Yes,
point here.
and.
We
Yes,
have
and.
we have Steve, Bob, Kara, we have Evan, we have Ian, we have George, we have Andrea Jones-Roy,
The best.
and we have Brian Wecht.
the best.
That's our crew. Those are the people that are working on this, that are writing it, and those are the people that will be entertaining everybody during the course of the weekend.
And one of them is the murderer.
Yes, there is always
See
one
if you could tell
murderer.
who.
Yeah, the conference is actually going to be Among Us. It's just one Among Us game. Yeah, so
the
We could do
Zoomers.
that.
That's
we
for
could
the
have
Zoomers.
the puzzle
Could actually be
one of the
Someone
organizers
gets murdered like in
Yeah.
the first hour.
is the murderer.
I think we should do
and
that.
you have to figure out who it is.
All right, Notacon 3. Notacon 3.
I'll tell Brian that. I like that because it would be fun if like certain people got killed throughout it, and they
And
have
they have to
clues
wear
on
like
them.
a dead.
That'd be fun.
dead
All right, so
sticker.
this is a phenomenon.
I am dead.
This is a thing. I don't know if it's a phenomenon, but it is a
Phenomenon.
thing that all of the people that work on this conference
Yes.
have come to me in their own way and in their own time and said to me,
"We don't like
I really like the group of people we have that we've
Yes.
collected that we work on. Because, we work with George all the time because we do the extravaganza with George, and he joins us with for all of our private shows when we
Like
it's
in
the
December
extravaganza.
in D.C. which
That's
is
right.
kinda-
Oh,
Oh,
has all that
very
compromise
nice. Where
on
could you
us, so
get
we-
those tickets, George? I don't
it's
even know.
at skepticsguy.org.
Hey,
Dot
oh,
org.
wow,
Dot org.
The events page.
Events
There
page
it
on the
is.
Skeptics
Hey,
Guide
look
org
at this. Bing,
page.
bing, bong, bing, bong,
Page
bing, bong,
org
bong.
page.
So the cool thing is,
The
and
cool
Steve
thing.
and I have worked
This
on
is a little
conferences for a long time. George has emceed many conferences, and George knows this as well. Not all people that work on conference committees get along with each other and see eye to eye and have like a shared vision. You know what I mean? Sometimes there's a lot of headbutting and like, we don't want the blah, blah, blah. It's like can be sloppy. This group of people, we are all so congratulatory about people's ideas and building on ideas and morphing them. Steve always likes to steal ideas from us. You know this, George.
Claim
Yeah.
that they were his all along.
Always.
Which is nice. Yeah.
Good example. We always bring this up. Like Steve will be like, let's do this. And Steve, yeah, but let's make it yellow. And then it's Steve's idea. And it's the yellow version. You know what I mean? But I'm just kidding.
Well, to make it better.
Steve is, what's really good? Steve is really good at taking the noise. People, this guy's saying that, whatever, and he's like, and he shapes it. And you do that quite often, and it really helps.
The best thing that Steve says when you have an idea, which means like it's not there, but we're going to work on it, and eventually that might become something we can do, is when he goes, and that's when you know, okay, we're onto something.
Yeah.
It's not there. It's not
not
close.
dead. It's not dead.
It's not dead.
Yeah.
Not there yet.
But when you get that,
Yeah.
So anyway, so Notacon is a social event. You know, the whole point of it is to give people the time and the space to get together and hang out and have fun. Because what happened was, collectively, we've all been to hundreds of conferences at this point, right? And we all came to the same conclusion right around the same time. Like, you know what? Like, I love going to those conferences when it's like the after hours, when we're in the Del Mar, when we're in the bar, when we're at dinner together, hanging out and talking, and we can meet people. And then we realize, like, the socializing is the thing that you get the least of, but you want the most.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
It's usually not structured around the social. The socializing is always incidental.
It's incidental.
it's
Yeah, we were like, let's make a con where the socializing is
Central.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on purpose.
Yeah, so we do
Because
it.
it makes our job easier.
We have 2.2 days of entertainment. We have tons of things going on.
Yeah,
But
we
there-
are doing stuff. There will be
there's bits. We
tons
have
of
to-
content.
Like last time, we had a cooking show, and we did the SG University, where each of us went up and taught the audience how to do something fun and wacky, or it could be anything.
Trivia and
the game show, and
the big quiz, the big weekend long
Puzzle.
We always
puzzle.
do a live SGU.
Live
as well.
SGU.
Yeah. So we're writing this year. We want it to be different. We're gonna come up with some. We already have come up with a lot of fun new things that we're gonna do. So if you're interested, go to Notacon Con. That's right. Same word. Notaconcon.com. COM. This was Ian's idea, apparently.
I love it. I think it's great. I think things that are hard to say are good.
Steve, Sharon, and Olivia both told me that they're mad at you about that URL. They just didn't have the nerve to tell you in person. Yeah, they told me.
They're mad at me.
Yeah. Silac is perfectly fine with it, but Sharon and Olivia don't like it.
How was PsyCon? Speaking of cons,
Yeah, we had a great time. We got to we got wonderful interviews. Like it was really good
how
because
great's Brian, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Brian Cox
is just-
Brian Cox and his manager and the assistant that all came. Like it was really awesome. Like what happened.
That's nice.
You know, Brian was running late, and I'm like in communication with Will, his manager. You know, and Will. Will was like, I'm really sorry, he's running over. And I'm like, yeah, dude, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Like, to us, it's like, it's no big deal. You know, like, yeah, we have a schedule, but we had a really loose schedule. And, you know, I would have been flexible anyway, because I know how that is. Like, I don't invite people to interviews thinking if you don't get there at 11:30, it's like things are going to go off the rails, you know? So he appreciated that I didn't give him any grief. And then we get in the room, and we're all talking, and it's all of a sudden like we're all just hanging out. Brian's there, you know, Brian Wecht is there. And we're all just talking, chit-chatting, and it just turned into like this really easy, comfortable conversation.
Nice.
And then Brian, like, then we get to the interview, and Brian is I totally get why Brian is as famous as he is. One, he's very intelligent, and he's very crafty in how he says it. And he's very comfortable, and he's calm, and he does something that I love. He constantly smiles when he's talking because he is feeling it.
Right.
So when he's talking, he's not like serious. He's like, "Isn't this cool? Isn't this really
Imagine
fascinating?"
the universe is a basketball.
Yeah.
And that basketball basically is the size of the universe.
But he has such a pleasing face, you know. So it's so welcoming, and I know everybody picked up on that. And then, you know, like it was just like a really cool, good kumbaya moment.
Yeah.
And then we interviewed, you know, Kevin Folta, Michael Mann, and Andrea Love. We had, you know, all the interviews came out fantastic. The conference itself was awesome, but there was one thing that they missed. So Steve and Jerry Coyne have two differing ideas on on the trans and sex issue, right? So Steve gives his talk, and he's like, look, it's okay for skeptics to disagree. You know, of course, we should disagree, and we should talk to each other. And Steve's like, I think what we should do is we should talk internally so we can get our ducks in a row before we go out to the public and not have our disagreements happen in the public. Like, let's have some type of, you know, communication. And either way, you know, we should invite each other to talk about things and to get past these impasses that happen when people aren't
There was
talking
some kind
to
of
each other.
conference that you could
So
organize.
Then Jerry Coyne gives his talk and kind of responds to Steve, right? And,
which in essence was, yeah.
And I'm like,
He didn't really address my point.
No, he didn't have
He
time
gave
to
the
prepare.
talk he was going to give.
Right.
Yeah.
With like
but
one
the thing
extra
was,
slide.
as a person who runs events, conferences, you know, this is like a big part of my job. I'm like, holy shit, Barry has got a gold mine on his hand. Dude, carve out an hour and get these two guys to talk to each other. We're here. It's right now.
Yep.
And I did talk to Barry about it, and he really wanted to do it, and he just couldn't get to it quick enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Look, this guy, his conference was packed tight. You know how it is.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they go all day, and then there's a break for dinner, and then they have shit going on at night.
Yeah, it was too late to do it.
So I think he felt like he didn't know whose plug he had to pull to make the time.
But he said we should have organized that as a debate.
Yeah,
but he had a full turnaround because initially, which I said during the talk, when I pitched the talk to him, I initially said, it's going to be about things that skeptics disagree with each other about, and his response was, as long as it's not about biological sex.
And you went,
And I said, don't worry, it's only going to be half of my talk. And he was like, oh, we already got Coin doing one. I'm like, well, dude, if you're going to have Coin doing his half, you got to give the balancing, the other side, Otherwise, you're going to have half the audience there cringing, their way through one of the talks.
maybe more than half.
Well, whatever.
Maybe a lot more than half.
So he came, to his credit, he came around. He agreed to it.
Yeah.
And then, but I think he was worried about it. But then once he saw how much the crowd responded
Of course.
to the talks, and that's what they wanted. He's like, you were 100% right.
Yeah.
We should have just showcased this from the beginning. This is what we should be doing, right? Debating the things we disagree about. That's what these fucking conferences should be focused on.
Yeah, I think because first of all, it's wicked entertaining.
Of course.
It's the most interesting part. It's that last, I always say, it's that last 10% of the thing that you don't agree about. That's the most interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
Because there's usually good arguments on both sides for that last 10%
Right.
or whatever. And then it's just, and then to
We
inform
tried to
people.
do that for NEXUS because I was always like, I want to debate. So we organized one on GMOs, and the problem was we couldn't find anybody good on the anti-GMO side. So we got somebody who was like an organic lobbyist, and they were fine, but they just weren't great.
They weren't.
They
tripped
weren't
out
at
enough.
Kevin Folta's level, and
Right.
Kevin Folta just deconstructed him.
Sure.
And then people thought it was a little one-sided. It's like, well, it's a one-sided debate.
Yeah,
You know,
and it's almost like we don't want to come across like you're setting up the other person.
right.
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 But
It is tricky to deal with, but it's worth dealing with it. And certainly, there's a lot of topics where there is internal disagreement among skeptics.
That's a big one.
Any of the things I talked about could be a debate, at a conference.
But to get back to your question, Barry ran a fantastic conference.
Yeah.
It was really welcoming, great people. I didn't, of course, I couldn't hear all the talks because we were working, but I heard quite a few of the talks, and I thought all the content was
good.
up to date and on at speed.
Nice.
Very, very good. And Barry is a very good conference organizer. So like you go to one of his conferences and like it's all taken care of. Nothing stands out. They say that when a producer does his job, Steve, I don't know.
Nobody
if you've noticed
notices
this, that nobody will notice
angel
if
gets
a
his
producer
wings.
does an amazing job. Everything seems seamless and easy. You know what I mean? But that is on the back of very hard work. So Barry, great freaking job, man.
Nice.
All right, we're going to do some TikToks.
Yeah, we could do some tickety talks. Hold on, let me see. Which ones did you want to do again?
I want to do the ophthalmologist guy, the retinal surgeon,
And it plays.
and the guy who responded to my video about the stars.
There were two of them, but yeah, we could do. Oh no, actually, yeah.
We
I
got a
only
response?
sent the one.
You didn't like it, Steve?
Yeah.
No.
No, it's all right.
Shill.
Shill. Yeah.
He called
You
me a
damn
NASA
shill.
shill.
Yeah.
I'm a
NASA shill.
Yeah,
Big, he's working for Big Star.
My
Little
response,
Star,
my
somehow.
response to any claims of us being shills is, I welcome you to look at my cars.
That's right.
Because if I was a shill, I would not be driving a 10-year-old car. Yes, that's correct.
Well, I didn't say you were a successful shill.
Right. Yeah. Oh.
I get $5 to lie for the government. It's like I'd be a little smart.
You're a shill, but then you gamble all your money away.
Yeah.
Let's see. Where is it?
But it is just like, I disagree with this guy, so he must be a shill for NASA.
What would be the shill price for you guys?
Yeah. What would it take?
What would it take? Like the proportional thing between the amount of money and the topic.
Okay, so
Like,
if I had to say I agreed with the anti-vaxxers, how much money would it take? It would have to be able to counteract the negativity of what I'm saying. Which,
There's no price.
No price, right?
There's no price.
Negotiable.
free.
We could talk about it.
What about wellness in general? Like
$3.99.
wellness, like how much would it take for you to be like, well, there's some stuff which is okay.
Well, I mean, look, you go to the chiropractor. they're glorified, physical therapists. You want to get some, manipulation, to loosen up your muscles, whatever. I wouldn't choose to go to a chiropractor because the whole thing is based on magic, right? But then homeopathy is 100% bullshit. There's nothing that a homeopath can do for you that'll help. And any of that stuff, like I could never tell people that homeopathy is okay. Now, if you're going to give me $1 billion, I could easily undo the damage of me talking positively about it with $1 billion. I could. So there is a price. It's just that no one will give me that money.
Which one is George? Somebody said. You decide.
I like the thing that Moby did, where Moby would give his music for car companies and gasoline things, and he would take the $500,000 or $400,000 he would get, and then he would give that to like
the Green Lobby
organizations
That's a cool way.
that counter the thing. Where he's like, so basically they're paying for those commercials and whatever.
Yeah, like we reject a ton of advertisers, right? If only the SGU audience understood.
Yeah.
That if we could just run those ads and you don't take them seriously, we could take that money and use it for good.
No.
But they don't.
Poe advertising.
We should make a Shill podcast.
Yeah, we should.
It's up front.
Someone
We're
said
shilling.
I created a geology podcast. Christian said I created a geology podcast back in the day and found some guy had already taken the title geology podcast. Grr. I'm sorry, Christian.
Sorry, Christian.
But you snooze.
Yeah.
And you don't win.
The answer is get in your time machine, go back in time.
How can I make a successful podcast?
Go
What do I
back.
need to do to be a success? How do I become a shill?
Yeah.
I get emailed all the time, because we have a podcast, and people think that I can actually tell them how to do it.
What's your best advice on being successful?
Now look, I can get into the weeds on how to figure out your content.
We've given seminars on the technical end of running a podcast and also on the sort of creative end, but there's no formula for
get a time machine.
success. There's no formula for
What
success.
I always say is like, make a 45 to 60-minute show for 1 week for 10 years.
Yeah.
Don't miss a week. And eventually you'll find you'll probably have some success.
Yeah.
That's my advice.
Yeah.
You got to stick with it. I mean, if you don't.
Yeah, but what would you... No, you're not hearing me. There's nothing. And also build a time machine, because that's the basic.
I remember back in the day, like when we were going to TAM, right? So we're going back to...
Oh, the day. Remember
like,
day.
what was it? Like 2005, 2007,
I think it was the first time.
7, 8, 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in those early years, people getting to know people and like talking to, and people would come up to me and say, I'm going to start a podcast. And then they start a podcast and they do it for 3 months and they quit it.
3 months. Yeah, more like
3 months.
Yeah,
and they
2,
quit.
3
And I'm like,
episodes.
and then they're angry and they're online and they're bitching about it. And I'd be like, 3 months? I mean, you wanted millions of people to flock to you in 3 months? Like you're planting a seed. Like podcast is not overnight. 99% of the podcasts out there, you have to be in it for the long haul just to even know if you have something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I've listened to a lot of good podcasts that have very low audiences. And the bottom line is there's a limited amount of ears out there now.
Yeah.
You know,
a lot of the market is flooded.
We were lucky because we got started like right in the beginning. I mean, that was like, that was a big thing for our company, I mean, if we didn't have that, I don't know what would happen to us.
All right, let's get on to this thing. Let's see. So we could do this one first.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy.
God.
Oh, my God. Can you imagine? What a shill. Look at that.
Hey.
Look at that. That's a shill's haircut
Let's
if I've
see
ever
if this
seen one.
works now, chat.
You got
Chat, do you like that star?
I can
Star.
Ooh, star wipe. Hit that again.
Ooh,
I just made that.
Ooh. Nice.
Just now. I just made that.
We can do an STP video.
All right,
Put a mustache on Steve and he's mafia. He's a mafioso right there.
When we do that in the show, I mean, oh my God, that is the best thing. Car salesman Steve.
Oh God, was that funny,
Don't-
George?
So funny, right?
Jesus
So
Christ.
different.
That cheesy mustache that made Steve
changes
Steve looks
him
like a doctor
completely.
and a guy that's trying to rob you. Same picture, just a little
Insurance
mustache.
salesman.
Yeah.
It's shady insurance salesman. Yeah, someone that like kidnaps pets and then you pay the ransom back for it. Yeah. And then finds them and then like gets the reward. That's what that guy was. Yeah. Yeah, I found your poodle. I heard there was a reward.
Oh, hey.
Let's see how accurate that is. Let's see. Where's the... Oh, hold on. Anyway, what were we going to do?
Are you wearing the same shirt here?
Maybe.
Oh, my
Is it?
goodness.
No, it's a different shirt.
It's a different shirt.
It's a different shirt.
Totally different shirt.
Steve has a bunch of those because he has to
Completely different shirt.
That's what
It's
he wears.
completely different. See, that one doesn't have a
Gospel.
pocket. This one has a pocket.
I got you.
This one is one shade darker.
I got you.
That's
Yeah,
one
yeah.
Pantone.
It's one Pantone.
That's his
over
He's in
Silver.
his doctor.
00193, 00194. There we go.
I need something that doesn't conflict with the green screen. That
Yes.
doesn't have stripes on it.
That makes his eyes look beautiful.
That makes my eyes
This
pop.
is that one's midnight. This is more of a lonely azure.
Ian, do
Blissful midnight.
Do another star wipe for Linda McCarter. She missed it, and she's really upset.
Oh boy.
There we go.
It's only on YouTube.
Linda, now go tell everyone that we do whatever people ask.
Star Wars.
I can't get that. Anyway, all right, let me stop the recording over here. Just give me one
we can talk.
second. Yeah, you can talk while I'm
We can
just
talk.
doing...
Sausage.
So we are doing a private show in D.C. on December 7th.
Yeah, come see us in DC on December 7th. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's a cool theater. Did you see the site? I mean, you've seen it, but have you seen the whole theater?
No.
It's not historic, but it's an older.
Yeah, it's a gala theater.
It's really cool. It's really like cool vibe.
We're not doing the Kennedy Center.
That's just for the after party.
So what's cool is a friend of mine who is an actor who also is a producer. He lives in D.C. and I was going through the hotels and giving offers of like, yeah, if you want to rent this room for 150, 200 people, it's going to be $12,000. I got many of those. Like, oh great, yeah, I'm going to go buy. I could buy a car for that much money, or do a show for 3 hours. Let me go think. So anyway, I tell him, hey, I'm having trouble. DC's stupid expensive. What do you got? So he's like, oh, I got a bunch of people I could, theaters. These are theaters. Though. This isn't a hotel. It's a real, legitimate venue that has all this stuff.
Like with chairs.
So he hooks me up, and it's a Hispanic theater. You know what I mean? So they run content like that. They have Hispanic actors. Freaking awesome theater.
Do we have to
awesome
do the show in Spanish?
We do. Yes.
Okay.
I have a question. Is sign language always in the same language?
No.
Yes.
No.
There isn't a Spanish
That's not
sign
true.
language.
There is.
Well, I thought it was the
Absolutely
international. Isn't it international?
What is it?
No, it's American Sign Language.
There's
American Sign
ASL,
Language.
there's ESL.
Yeah, there's Chinese version.
FSL.
But okay, so
I minored in sign language, by the way.
Okay.
Oh, did you?
So
What the fuck
Ian,
did you
Is that true?
Yeah,
So
no,
Ian,
it's true. I
so-
minored in speech language pathology.
So like
you
the Chinese sign
No,
language
seriously.
follows the Chinese way of talking and thinking. and
Not
stuff in
necessarily,
sentences?
because
No?
it's usually topic comment. Well, ASL is topic comment, so you're talking about the topic and then you make a comment on it. So the structure of the sentence, quote unquote, is like the thing you're talking about and then how you affect it. Like like eat I want rather than I want to eat.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's that structure. Chinese Sign Language might be a little bit different, but a lot of the signs are very similar.
Yeah.
But
But is
there's
there a
different.
Spanish sign language?
Yeah, there's different, and it's not. It's
There's
colloquialisms
accents.
too.
There's accents in sign language.
Right, there's like
you
kinda
can
like an accent.
ASL. There's localized quote unquote accents where
Mhm.
someone can know, oh, you're from the north, you're from the south, you're from the west coast. Like we don't use that sign for that word on the west coast.
Right.
And it's akin to an
Interesting.
accent.
And there's the
crazy.
Rochester
Oh my
system, which
God.
is from Rochester, New York. If you know anything about that, there's like a deaf school up there.
Mhm.
But that was made by hearing people. So like it's like you spell the words out more. So it's like really laborious, and most deaf people are like, "Fuck that!" Like that's stupid.
Okay,
Like,
so we will be
anyway.
at the Gala Theater. All this information is on the SGU website, theskepticsguide.org. So both of the shows are on December 7th. One of them starts at 11:30 a.m. and the other one starts at 8 p.m. If you're local or live nearby, please do come. It's going to be our last live performance of this year.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And the next thing we do is the conference. So go to theskepticsguide.org. Please.
One of my favorite bits I ever did live in the moment, and I was so excited that I had thought of this that I literally started shaking. It was at one of the early NEXUSes, and they had an ASL translator for all the events. And I think it might have been a panel. It might have been with you guys. I'm not sure exactly. And I was giving an answer to some question, and in the middle of my answer, I said, "I'm sorry. I'm going to stop translating for 1 second. This is not what George is saying. This is my own thoughts. I think this guy is unbelievably attractive. And my gosh, what a brilliant speaker. And I'm going to go back to translating now what he's saying. And I will continue with the rest of what he's saying." And then I finished my answer. And she was doing it. She just looked over at me with this like, fuck you look. It was so...
Why? Because it was confounding for her to actually...
She was translating what he
translating
was
what I
saying,
was
but he
saying.
was pretending to be speaking in her voice.
So like this is not George. George is not saying this right now. I am saying this. Yeah, and I think he's unbelievably sexy. I just had to stop in here. I know his answer is good, but I'm going to go back to translating in 1 second. But here we go. Now, from now on, this will be what George is saying. As you can see.
Oh my
and she's
God,
doing
George.
it, and like she's just looking at me like, it's so great. It was like one of my favorite moments.
Son of a bitch. All right. All right.
We
So
yeah.
What?
We did so many good bits in the past. There was one bit that I want to resurrect that I really like was when one of us makes a slideshow for another person
Yes.
to give a lecture
Oh
to.
yes,
Yeah, that is Nexus.
right.
Yeah. And then the other person doesn't know what the slides
Oh,
are.
you rocked it. Yeah, that was
Steve
great.
did
Until
so
it's
good.
That
real
was one of my
time.
most embarrassing
Steve, you were-
moments.
yeah.
Right before talking to Andrian and fucking Bill Nye, I like put this stupid wig on him doing his Russian accent.
Listen.
It was awful.
George,
it was awful.
George, I've seen you do this a few times in the decade I've known you. But that's what it takes to get to the hyper good stuff that you
Sure,
do.
sure,
like,
sure.
Like you have to scroll. Your hit to miss ratio is profound.
Whatever. But it was just funny, and it was just like,
I'm telling you, man.
and
Like,
I hit the wall, and I'm like, and now it's like, and now Andrian and Bill Nye, and Anne's just like, this guy's gonna talk to us now for the. But I got to ask her about the music on that Voyager. So that made it all fine.
It was all good.
Made it all fine.
Yeah.
I have
Is
one
that better?
Kennedy Center story, real quick. So I used to play with this jazz guy years ago, and he was so good on getting gigs. He got these amazing gigs, and we played the Kennedy Center. There it is. Look at that guy.
That's not.
You
But that's not.
I
the
mean,
one
that's
that
not the
I
one,
made.
but like you wouldn't.
It's totally
If this guy wanted to give you a ride, you just wouldn't go anywhere with him.
No.
It's unbelievable. It's
You're
so
not getting
good.
a car alone with this guy.
What would an interpreter do to like if? Like if they're
the
trying to
screen share.
interpret hey, so I told the guy, forget about it. Like what's going,
There
like
might be
how,
some,
how
you
could
do
they?
this thing?
Yeah, I know, but
Right.
George, how could they do that?
They're
Because
just doing this the whole
Just
time.
So you basically get what he's talking about.
it's interesting. I would love to know how they would handle that.
Oh yeah.
All right. Let's get on to this.
Like a
All right.
word that they don't know. Like is there
Right.
is there a word? Does fugazi exist in sign
How
language?
about Gavone?
Fake or
Gavone.
Gavone.
He was
yeah.
such a Gavone.
You'd probably spell it out.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You would spell it out, and like
G-O-G-O-T.
sometimes like part of sign language is also the mouth movements. So you're like kind of sometimes mouthing the word, or like
And there's attitude too. I mean,
And,
there is like if you're angry,
intensity
you,
to it,
you
yeah.
do a thing. So if it's gonna, what do I give a shit about? You
yeah, you
fucking
probably would go
Italian.
Italian. That's true. All right, so let's let me play this. This is a little quiet. Let me turn it up a little bit. All right, so anyway, it's his.
There's no
video's a little quiet.
atmosphere to cause a blue sky.
All right, let me start this.
It's a very good poem. Let's see
I'm
what
gonna
else.
keep it on the Q&A
Our
background.
true history.
All right, here we go.
Atmosphere to cause a blue sky. It's black, but you cannot see stars.
So this gentleman's talking about from space, for example, the International Space Station, you won't be able to see any stars because someone asked him for photographs of proper photographs from NASA, because we know NASA lie. And he's coming out with the fact that apparently you can't see stars. Now, Chris Hadfield, who was in the International Space Station, used to talk about the marvellous stars that they could see. In fact, you can actually see better without atmosphere. The stars are actually brighter. Where do these people come from? I'm guessing he works for NASA or is part of something to do with NASA.
NASA Shill Gambit. So that's one of the TikToks I want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to do it all together, or should we do it?
We could do it
independently?
all together.
It's up to you.
Yeah.
What do you guys want to do?
Let's do it.
Do you have something to add?
Queen nod just vehemently.
Yeah.
That's.
You can ask questions while we're.
Yeah, we could. It could
You know what I
be a
mean?
conversation. I mean, I have my bit to say about it.
Yeah,
but
you could be like, "So am I a shill?" or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Doing it with this frame.
Yeah, because I have the cameras in the
Gotcha.
3 position. You can stare at that camera
Is
if
that
you
the
want.
camera? I'm
Yeah.
looking at? Yeah.
mhm.
Okay.
I mean, Steve, George and I can go up and eat your food. It's fine with us.
Yeah, that's true. So apparently, did you guys know I was a shill for NASA?
Yes,
All this
of course
whole
you were.
time,
It's obvious, right?
30 years of science communication, of producing the Skeptic Guide to the Universe podcast, of being a neurologist at Yale, and secretly I'm a shill for NASA the whole time.
That's an $80,000 microphone.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, because NASA really needs to pay people to lie for them, like because they don't have enough
Right.
people that could do it that already work for the company directly. But that's crazy.
So what's this guy talking about? This is in response to people saying, why don't we see stars in the background, of photos from space? Ian, I sent you a photo from Chris Hadfield to show you, like, this is one of his photographs to show you what I'm talking about. The point is that if the sun is in the sky, like if it's not shadowed, then that is so much brighter than the stars, it would wash out the stars. So you won't be able to see the stars. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that you can't see the stars from space. It means you can't see the stars when the sun is out. So Hadfield is talking about when the International Space Station is behind the Earth relative to the sun, when it's in the Earth's shadow.
Yeah.
It's basically
Night.
Night. That's ISS night, right? Now, on your way to the moon, there is no situation where you're behind the Earth. You can't be in the Earth's shadow. You're too far away. So that whole time, the sun's in the sky, it's going to wash out the stars. On the surface of the moon, it's the same. If you're on the bright side of the moon, it's the same thing. However, there is a caveat to this, and that is if you put the sun directly behind you, so that you're looking away from the Earth, away from the sun, or if you're on the moon, the sun has to be behind you and you're looking away from the surface of the moon, and you let your eyes dark adapt, then you can't see stars. But of course, you're eclipsing the sun with your own body.
Your own night. Your head is your own evening.
Exactly. So like that's a picture that Chris Hadfield took of the Earth and the moon from the ISS, no stars, because the light reflecting off the Earth is too bright. It's washing out the stars. That's the point, obviously, that I was making. You cannot see stars whenever there is a very bright object in your field of view. You have to either be in the Earth's shadow or in the moon's shadow, or you have to have your back to anything else. Like your back has to be to the Earth and the sun so that you're looking only at black space. And again, you have to let your eyes dark adapt, then you can see stars. But that's why you're not going to see a picture of like the Earth, the moon, and the sun and stars all at the same time. You're not going to see that because the sun is so much brighter than the stars, it's going to wash it out. And this, of course, is true for cameras as well. Our eyes are actually better than cameras overall, but you could, set a camera to a very high dynamic range setting. You guys know about dynamic range. It's like the difference between the brightest and the dimmest object that the camera can capture. And there are ways of doing that. Basically, like with digital cameras, they will blanket dynamic range. Like they'll take basically multiple photos at different, emphasizing different lightness. So you can have these really amazing pictures with a very high dynamic range. So, but even then you're not going to get stars. If the sun's in the frame, right, that's the problem. You're not going to see stars if the sun is in the frame because it's too bright. So this whole conspiracy idea that the NASA is putting out these fake photos, right, because NASA lies, whatever that means, and they're too dumb to put a star field in the background. Like if they're photoshopping pictures of space because we're not really in space,
that looks good. Let her out. Release it.
Then why wouldn't it look like every science fiction movie ever, right?
Yeah.
Right. When you're in space in science fiction movies, you see the star field, right? Because that's what it's supposed to look like in space. But NASA photos, there is no star field when there's something really bright in the field of view. The sun or the light, the day side of the Earth, the day side of the moon. You don't see the stars because it just gets washed out by the bright object. That's because that's how reality actually works. So what's their point that NASA, they're saying you should see the stars?
That's what it seems like.
And NASA's too dumb to know that? And so they're really bad at photoshopping
They
photos?
think they caught NASA.
They caught NASA for 50 years.
They're really good at some things, and they're really bad at some other things. So, yeah. I think you're a shill for the sun, Steve.
Yes.
That's what this all sounds
like. I worship the god Ra.
Yeah.
And this is just a way of shilling for Ra.
Yeah, the whole shill thing to me is it's so easy. It's like really like
it's lazy.
It's lazy.
It's like, I mean, the guy could have literally spent 30 seconds on Google and figured out who I was,
which is always the case.
My life is such an open book. Like there's no way I'm secretly doing anything. I have no time to do anything secretly.
No, but it makes you think like
2 full-time jobs.
The same people that could Google you and get a dossier on who you actually are could also like look up how photography works.
Yes, right.
Google. Why don't we see
like
stars?
it's not that
They
complicated.
could say, "Why aren't there stars in this field?"
It's a good question. That's a legit
That's
awesome
the thing
question.
that kills me is that there's such an and this is true of like so many of the TikTok videos that we do. People ask an interesting question where there's a fascinating answer. Why was there so many fires in America in the second half of the 19th century? That was one of the videos that we did. It's a great question. If only you would take a semi-reasonable scientific approach to finding the answer, you would learn something about optics and about dynamic range
not the point,
and photography.
Steve. That's not what they're looking for.
Of course not. They're anomaly hunting, right? Which is what conspiracy theorists do. They look for something that superficially to them seems odd, and they go, "That's evidence of a conspiracy." Why is it evidence of a conspiracy? Because it's weird, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. But how do you know that? I mean, have you explored that? No, it just looks at this. They just know because NASA's lying, and therefore this thing that looks weird to me is evidence that they're lying. But it unravels when you think about it beneath this very thin skin, this thin veneer.
And every single one of them has some level of expertise in something that has a similar conundrum within it that they could explain instantly and be like, "Oh yeah, no, that's not why." They're a car repair person, they're a skier, they're a tennis, like whatever that thing is that they do. And there's something in that thing that they do that is anomalous that they would go like, "Oh no, that's not that. It's this."
But then the people quickly expose themselves as not truly looking for the truth. And the reality behind it. What they're trying to do is just confirm
they have a
their
narrative.
Story. Yeah,
they have a narrative. It's a conspiracy narrative, and that's all. That's it. That's all that matters. Again, this also gets back to something we've been talking about, which is like on social media and in general now in media, like the truth isn't necessarily the point. Although I think this guy actually believes what he's saying because he sounds like a conspiracy theorist. But often people, it's like it doesn't even matter whether they believe what they're saying is true or not. It's the narrative and it's the engagement and the entertainment value, and that's it.
Yeah.
Right. But there's also an anti-intellectualism about like all the experts are wrong, and I could shoot from the hip and disprove all of them without really making an effort.
That's the hubris of it. Like,
yeah,
how
it's
many
massive
thousands
hubris.
of people are you saying you're smarter than?
Yeah, millions.
Or millions of people that you're saying you're smarter than.
But they're in on the secret, guys, and there's a thrill there.
They've seen the band behind the curtain.
There's stars behind me. You can see. Look at that. You can totally see.
But it is interesting to hear people turn photography into a conspiracy. Like that's how strange it all is now. It's not like we're not like discussing like alien visitation and stuff. We're talking about like how photography works.
Right.
Light spectrum.
And if like your cognitive dissonance,
bright things wash out dimmer things.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science.
Yeah,
ironically.
And oddly, the person that is complaining about these things has a camera that they're using to talk to you.
They're adjusting the f-stop on their camera.
Like you could do this yourself. Like you literally could just go outside and start experimenting and see what happens. You know,
like we have to have good lighting on the video where I talk about lighting.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, there you have it.
I blame you.
Oh, that's true. I forgot the.
You see what I'm dealing with?
I forgot.
Seriously, I don't know how you do it.
Somebody asked if am I still an Alcor member. The answer is I am not.
Is that a tuna thing? What is that?
No, Alcor is
James gonna have his head frozen.
It's Cryonics.
Oh,
yeah.
Man, that whole history of that, the whole story of that.
Oh yeah, it's intense.
There was a movie that was gonna be made, because I love the story of that original guy that like he froze one person and then froze four, put them all in the capsule together. They all melted. He refroze them. He buried them in another. It was a comedy of errors.
Yeah, it's really crazy.
And there was a script made called "Freezing People is Easy."
It's like the beginning of medicine. You know, it was like wow, like what's happening?
Yeah.
Yeah. My wife and I are no longer signed up because we wanted the money to go to our kids. You know, I can't justify spending that kind of money.
That's actual immortality.
Yeah,
that's as close as we get.
It is what it is. I mean, you know,
that and podcasting.
I would, if I had the money, I would still do it. You know, but everybody knows the chances of it working are extraordinarily low. And again, it would be wonderful to wake up. You know, it would be great, but I want my.
What you're paying for is the denial up to the point where you.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I get that.
It's like a rental.
I don't think that it's impossible for it to work. But the statistics of it bother me to the point where I thought my kid should just get the money.
You're buying a lottery ticket, but
Yeah.
Really expensive.
Not
But it's
very
not
good
even
ones,
that.
yeah.
It's like, but there's no proof that the prize even
comes.
exists.
No guarantee that they're ever going to draw a number.
Yeah, so it's not even
Yeah.
like a lottery because it's more like a lottery for a lottery.
Yeah,
almost.
right. Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Got to win 3 lotteries in a row. Yeah.
Do you think? Okay, so we talked about getting older. Do you think that's? I mean, obviously your kids are a focus, but do you think your fear of death and concern of death has modified itself as you get older? Because you do have kids, and you can sort of see.
I mean, the kid thing
a
and the
through
whole
line?
living on through your family thing is meaningless to me. It never resonated.
Oh, wow,
with me.
okay.
I don't think anything of that. Like, you know, my kids will remember me, and hopefully they have tons of fond memories, and I help shape them into functioning adults, and you know, want them to feel an extraordinary level of love, right? But you know, that doesn't do anything. Like, I mean, I just think I've become a more intellectual being as I've gotten older, and I'm, you know, more capable of accepting the fatalities that life gives you.
Yeah,
You know,
okay. Well, that's it. That's a good answer.
It sucks. I don't ponder on it like
Right.
I used to because I've literally used
right.
cognitive behavioral therapy to
Yeah.
make it so I don't think about dying all the time.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
I got to tell you, like, my fear of death has inspired me to do great things.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's what you do with it. Somebody, I love the phrase, somebody said, we're all hurtling towards oblivion. And there's nothing we can do about it. It is inevitable. At some point in time, your stream of consciousness will forever end. And that's it. But all you can do is do the best you can with the time that you have until that moment.
Carbs. I'm
Yeah.
telling you. It's
bread.
carbonara. That's like what it comes down to.
Carbonara.
Yeah, that's funny. You know, I saw my dad, you know, pick up cooking in his, you know, early 50s. He just decided, I want to make this. My mom used to make this, and he started doing that, and he really got into cooking, and it was a big pleasure for him.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of tracking in that same thing. You know, I also, like, I enjoy food now more than I ever did in my life. It's really meaningful, you know? And, you know, it's no coincidence that's one of
It
the...
shades this sex, food.
Yeah.
Just sleep.
But the... I rate sex. So I got to put it in my. I rate food. I rate quality
mobility.
food and cooking and sharing food with people.
Yeah.
You know, like there's
all good.
a small list of things in life that quote unquote come free. You know, it feels good to breathe. If you're in a good relationship, you know that love is there, and it right. And you know, enjoying a good meal and in sharing it with people and everything, it's like it is one of like these human pleasures.
Yeah.
You know, know this. George.
Thanksgiving's coming up.
Yeah,
it's my
it's
favorite.
wonderful. It's
Probably my
wonderful.
favorite day of the year. I don't work any harder than I do those 2-3 days before that to host 20, 25 people, whatever it is. And
You do a beautiful job,
I
George.
love it.
Because
I
we
love
asked
it.
other
Yeah.
people, do you make anything that's not traditionally like American Thanksgiving for Thanksgiving?
Mm-hmm.
I always have one item, which is the curveball item.
Yeah.
What's it this year?
And this year it's going to be a Thai turkey meatball.
Oh wow!
Yeah, the spicy. It's got
a spicy meatball.
It's a spicy meatball. It's got courgettes in it, and it's like I made it a couple weeks ago. Coconut milk, and that's going to be the sort of. So it's still turkey, but it's like there's always a little curveball.
That's
So
nice. I had a turducken once for
Did
Thanksgiving.
you do it? Wow.
No, I didn't do it.
Oh.
And man, it was bad.
It was bad.
It was bad.
That's hard to do.
Yeah, I don't know if it was like the.
You mean it was foul?
It was.
You're exceeding your quotient.
I'm so sorry. Evan put
there
me
was
up
a
to it.
novelty.
Evan put me up
There
to
was
it.
a novelty factor there, right? Like, oh my god, like it's. You know.
It's a turducken.
Can we see what Ben Woke has said here?
What do you say?
Got to do sex at least 21 times per month for good prostate health. Is that with someone else or just alone?
This is Movember factoid.
Is that what you tell your significant other?
Yeah, sure.
21 times.
This is for my health.
Prostate over
yes, but we're on the
here,
bus. Can you wait?
Yeah.
Let's wait till we're out of the library.
Constantly
Just-
trying to convince my wife of things like this. It never works.
All right.
It just doesn't work.
Butt health.
about all that.
Tube health. 20. Good for you, Ben. And I'm surprised you can type.
I thought the whole
21 times.
I thought retaining it was supposed to make you stronger, right?
Yeah, you keep your
It's,
chi,
you know,
right?
We're at the point, guys. We're at this inflection point right now. Let me just put it to you
Which
like
inflection
this:
point are we talking
enjoy,
All of them.
enjoy seeing things on the internet that you can say, yes, this probably happened, because in a very short amount of time,
You will not be able to say
The
that
filter
about
will
anything.
be
you
like,
literally be like, okay, this is entertaining, right? You could
Right.
say, fine, I was entertained by this short video clip of something bizarro happening, but we will never know what.
But
what
I'm already
happened.
at the point where I don't believe anything unless I vetted it, unless I did some exploration of has this been, done a deep dive on this, has they've been a technical analysis, whatever. If you know what I mean, I don't believe anything unless it's been vetted to some reasonable degree, because everything, even little things that I used to take for granted, like. Then you find out that wasn't real, It's like the Koreans with the porn. It's like, okay, that's a funny story, but I have no idea. I'm not going to assume it's true or not.
Can't assume. Even photos now you see of like those cute photo memes, which is just like, now it's its own thing of like, yeah, those aren't real. Those are.
Now I remember when you and Evan loved the whole, can I pet that dog?
Can I pet that dog?
And which one of you found out that like that audio didn't go with that video?
Yeah,
That was
the audio
fake.
was of a little boy.
Yeah.
But someone put the audio of this kid freaking out wanting to pet the dog to like
A bear.
This bear walking up to somebody's deck, and the parents pulled a little girl away. But what's funny is, I believed it because it fit perfectly.
Right.
It fit.
Welcome
freaking
to the
perfectly.
internet.
So Pepsi put out.
Pepsi slander. It was Coke.
It was
Thank
Coke.
you very much.
Sorry, Coke put out
Christ.
their Christmas video
Shill,
to
Pepsi
sell.
Shill.
They have
Damn
basically
right
their every year they
yeah.
put out the video.
Yeah,
some video, some
the
commercial.
The polar bears.
And it was supposed to look real, but it was all artificial. It was all AI, right? And people are freaking out. And my response
what
is,
aspect of it are they freaking out?
Her thumbs are weird. You
they
can see
don't
the
like
one
it. They feel
actress
like
with
they're
thumbs.
lying, and I'm like, dude, what the frick do you think we're hurtling towards?
But it was a Coke commercial.
It was a Coke commercial.
So why did they expect that it was real in a commercial?
You don't want me to answer that question, Steve,
okay.
because you don't want to get into politics. So the
What were they saying? That they deceived us
They
with
were
this
outraged.
fake commercial?
Yes, they were outraged. Here it is.
They thought that was real?
No, wait, I haven't seen it yet. Let me see if this is it. Yep, this is it.
First of all, it looks fake.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's all too polished.
It's
got that
I don't think
it's
it's
a
that,
little uncanny valley.
Yeah, I don't think it's that it's real. It's that it's like taking away from people who used to like script ads, then
Oh,
like
really?
set
Is that
them
what's,
up.
what's happening with the internet?
Yeah.
People creatives' jobs are being eliminated? What?
It's unbelievable.
When is this happening? Really?
It's like-
Someone should do a podcast about this.
It's unbelievable when
Hey.
you see people's light bulb finally go on. When you see that, it's like musicians don't make a lot of money.
It goes denial,
Yeah.
outrage. That's what happens.
Come on.
Live stream.
It's like, what do you think is going to happen? Like AI can, it's great. It can help you do research. It's helping me.
Jay, everyone's still trying to get back to the "I want to buy the World of Coke" commercial.
Yeah,
It's true.
That
Yeah,
epic
and they want
commercial
eggs to be
from the
$1.85.
70s.
They want to buy a dozen
Mad
eggs for
Men.
$1.85
Yeah.
again. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen. But yeah,
but
everything.
the thing is, it's all constructed. Every commercial ever made is constructed.
It's all fake anyway.
It's all fake. It's
Let's
all
break it to
fabricated.
them. Let's break it to them.
Yeah, here we go.
Here we go. I'm going to tell you guys, right? This is what's going to happen.
We're looking here.
Everything
We're
that
looking
you
here.
see.
I've been looking over here the whole day.
In about a year, everything that you goddamn see, including
fake.
movies and everything, it all could be fake and is likely is. And as the years go by, that
now.
number goes up and up and up. Because I'm
Only
telling
one
you,
of us is real.
Yeah, I'm
telling
actually
you.
still in Bethlehem. I'm not even here.
But I don't want it to be that way. I want actors to still do acting roles, and
Except for
bring
the
this-
stuff we want to watch.
Right, except for
except
Kirk.
for season 4 of Star Trek.
Yeah,
the
but if
original
it's
series.
that's one thing. But I mean, if you're
That's
watching,
fair.
like
That's fair.
I don't know. Jay.
Firefly season
fine,
23.
Firefly.
I will.
It's
Look,
such
great.
a slippery thing,
Great,
man.
I agree. You know what? I have a want. I would love that they don't have any more, and fine, I can accept that. In honor of the fact that I want actors to be paid and musicians to be paid for people actually listening
Of
to their
course.
music. But guys, it's all going away. And I love artificial intelligence. I love what it has to offer humanity. But the people that sell people stuff are going to take advantage of it. And guess who's going to take it? It's us. It's the consumer.
Well, here's
it's
the thing.
people losing their jobs.
It's like there's already been this entire sequel mentality of like you keep remaking, rebooting, because you have a property which has a value, an intellectual, an IP, right, which has a value. Whether it's cornflakes or Lost in Space or Barbie or
Are they
whatever.
making another Lost in Space?
Exactly, because they know that there's a certain curiosity.
Yeah. How many times are they going to make Batman over? You know what I
Oh
mean?
my
That's
God.
the thing, right? But like, and it's, are they getting better? Like, are those sequels and reboots? Are we like, sometimes they're cool, but the percentages of like the reboots and the fifth version,
Slow.
the fifth Indiana Jones or whatever, it's like, and And that's just going to get worse
Yeah.
and worse and worse because now
But the
you don't
la-
have to
the-
pay Harrison Ford
Yeah.
$45 million to do it. You'll have the Harrison Ford Avatar. You'll have Clint Eastwood do Dirty
Yeah.
Harry 7 because once he dies and his kids, grandkids want to cash in on it, which they
Yeah.
have every right to, whatever. But it's like, is it going to get better?
Well, but the
don't know,
thing is,
man.
all right, here's the other point of view. Yeah, I agree with you. And in speaking with like my daughter and their friends in that generation too, they're already sick of it. They're already sick of the franchise reboot. Everything
Oh,
is
okay.
but at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is that work of art good? Was the writing good?
Yes.
Was the storytelling good? I don't
Yes.
care if it's a standalone, a one-off, a reboot, a franchise. None of that matters. And what the frustrating thing is that like the top level executives, again, by all accounts, from everyone I've ever spoken to who's in the industry, they're very risk averse and they want the tried and true. They want the formula. It's like what we've been talking about. Give me the formula to have a successful podcast. Give me the formula for a viral video. There is no formula. There's no substitute for just quality. And then even that is just a ticket. It's not not an outcome.
Is it really quality or just profitability?
It's just, what do you mean? It's just what?
Like, is it just profitability? They're not even talking about quality. They're risk averse because
But
they
the
know they're
thing
going to
is,
make a profit.
they do not appreciate the extent to which quality leads to
Success.
Here's why. Whenever you have a surprising successful movie come out, right? It's like a new thing that's like takes the culture by storm, and it's hugely profitable. What do the executives do? They go, oh, people like that, so let's make a cheap knockoff of that. Like they focus on the superficial aspects of it, rather than no, people like that because it was fucking good.
Yeah,
because because it was different. It was creative.
Original, creative.
It was original. Oh, they like original stuff. Well, let's give it to them again. It's like they
I love that thing about so Barbie comes out and Barbie is a massive hit. Now Barbie is written by women, it's directed by women, it stars women, it's the story is women-centric and it makes $1 billion. And what do the executives say? We need more movies about toys.
Yeah, right.
We need a Matchbox movie because that's a thing because obviously Mattel Toys is why that film was successful. That's what people want. They want movies about Mattel toy and not like.
I mean, Disney.
All right.
Disney buys Star Wars from Lucas, right?
Wait, what?
They're holding on to like what I would consider to be an unbelievably untapped universe of stories, right? And Disney has the power, has the money, and has the talent in order to fully realize this thing and make it be unbelievably good. And they
blew it.
They blew it on such a profound level. They hand it over to J.J. Abrams, who at that time already was a proven destroyer of fucking brands.
Yeah, right.
He did it to Star Trek, and he actually said this.
I like that first Star Trek reboot. I thought that was really well done.
But
I gotta say,
1, 2, 3.
The Star Trek reboot.
Oh, Star Trek. Sorry,
yeah, Star Trek 2009 reboot, whatever that was.
Yeah,
that
the first one it was.
I thought it was
with
very
Chris
clever.
Pine?
With Chris Pine.
Yeah,
I thought it was clever.
Yeah.
It allowed classic Star Trek to exist because it had the divergent timeline. I thought that was a really good fix, and I enjoyed those actors, and I thought that was really cool.
But
then it went off the rails.
But when you
then it went off the rails.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Then it was like we need
Khan in the
more,
second one was like what?
More action, blowing stuff up because that's what Star Trek is about. But
to take Star Wars for Disney to take Star Wars.
What they did, Jay, is they said, well, people liked the first 3 movies, so let's give them to them again.
Right.
So let's take it's as if they went basically scene by scene, shuffled them up, and just made 3 more movies out of the same scenes, but just in a slightly different sequence.
Yeah, I mean that is an oversimplification.
It is an oversimplification, but that's not far from what they did.
But the first movie is a retread in a big way. But the point is, though, if Disney can't land that rocket ship, if they can't make another intriguing movie, it doesn't even have to be 3 movies. It doesn't have to be that. It could just have been 1 movie. If they can't write a good Star Wars story in that universe, and again, I mean, my God, that universe is dripping with potential. What the hell? The fact that George Lucas could not write a second Indiana Jones movie, that's a fucking problem. Because that's another thing that would, I mean, my God, there's so many things that they could have had that character do. It's like James Bond, right? It's just rinse and repeat. Another thing for him to solve. Another thing, another adventure to go on.
Wait, you didn't like the second Indiana Jones movie?
I mean, it was okay. It wasn't.
okay.
It wasn't terrible, but
Nothing had the magic of the first
Kali
one.
Ma, you don't like Kali Ma?
Oh,
No,
really?
I like all that.
Come on.
The second and the third one, I thought were.
I
were-
liked
they were
a lot of
fine.
elements. to
One,
it.
2, and 3. I think the second one is the best prequel of all time because it's a prequel.
Yeah, it is a
takes
prequel.
place 2 years before, and we see, and I've written about this before, but we see why Indiana Jones became Indiana Jones,
yeah.
Yes.
which is the best reason to have a prequel. Like, why is that character the way they are? Because when he starts Raiders, he's getting that idol for the museum and stuff. He's not getting it for profit. But when Temple starts, he's getting that the jewel, the
Yes.
Nurhachi jewel
right, yeah.
for money. And it's not until he's in the cave with the kids and he realizes these kids are being all tortured. And when they say, we're getting out of here, all of us, and the camera comes up right in Harrison Ford's face, he becomes Indiana Jones. And it's like there's a bigger thing that we have to worry about than my own profitability and me making money.
Andor was great. That was the best Star Wars
That's true.
series to date because it was well written. It was a good story. It's a fucking great story.
But my question
the
for
writing
you guys,
is good.
How does Star Wars get J.J. Abrams on board and they literally start production before they had a script? How does that happen?
Because you get the end date. You have we're going to release this film in August or whatever, December of whatever was it 2015 or whatever it was.
It was a clusterfuck.
And you work backwards because you have to have
Okay,
the promotion
I mean, that
lines have to all
guess that
go.
makes
So it's like we
sense.
got to be in production by May, blah blah. So we got to get rolling. So we know what the the ship is going to look like. So let's build the ship.
But why don't they try something different now that okay, sure, these movies made a lot of money, but the artistry sucks. It just wasn't there, man.
Simpsons had a great line about when they were making fun of Star Wars. It wasn't Star Wars, but it was whatever the thing. And they said, the George Lucas character. And they're like, your films are not good. And he's like, what are you talking about? The eyelash rendering is perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Which is it's so on point. Of like that's what they focus on. Of
Right.
like
But
the amazing effects.
Why
and
can't they be like, hey, world, we are going to make more Star Wars movies. Submit your scripts.
Right.
Let's see what you got. Because there's brilliant writers out there.
There are brilliant writers. Pay some brilliant writers to write brilliant
How
scripts.
many Star Wars books are there also?
So
just
like the book industry, right? You have all these lower level people reading, and the good ones filter up to the top, and then they're like, "Oh my God, look at these awesome scripts that we have. We have multiple movies here."
Oh my God! When I was younger, I was into reading Star Trek fiction. Right?
Yeah, I did that too.
I've read probably 20 Star Trek books. They're all awesome.
Yeah,
they're all
good,
really good stories in that universe with those characters. And the same thing,
they should mine them the way that Marvel
Yeah.
movies mined the Marvel canon.
Yeah, right.
And ended up, that initial run of 23 films, whatever it was.
Was good.
Amazing.
It was amazing.
Spectacular.
By the time you get to Endgame, and it's like, and so you have this canon. Like there was a canon of Star Wars.
It's a whole
stuff and Star
galaxy, and we
Trek
see this
stuff.
tiny little sliver.
Right.
There's so much potential backstory, so many things they don't explore, so many good characters, and just the aesthetic and everything is already baked into our DNA.
Fine film
But
students.
just tell us good stories. Don't just give us the same shit over and over again. Come on.
You could take $100 million and divide that among 100 filmmakers, 50 filmmakers, and say, here's $2 million. Like, go make a Star Wars movie. Like, we're not going to tell you, do it. Like,
Yeah,
whatever you can come up with. And they'll come up with brilliant stuff.
Yes.
And out of those 50 films, at least one will be amazing.
Yes.
The thing is, they made it way too clear that it's only about money. And that's the thing. It just spoils the whole thing because you're like, Moana 2. Like my kids loved the first Moana movie, and I loved it. The songs were fantastic. It was a really fun movie, right? So they come out with Moana 2. My kids want to see it, and I'm like, oh, how could it be good?
Yeah.
How could it be good? We already did all that.
I
You know what I
know.
mean? And I'm like, even if it is okay and it's enjoyable.
Sometimes, Toy Stories are all
Yeah,
good.
no,
Toy
good.
Story 3 is like the best Toy Story.
But then you have to be like trust them that
I
they
know.
no, trust me, we have a great script or whatever.
Inside Out 2 was good.
But nothing is better than seeing that new thing for the first time and that experience. That's why the 80s was magical when it came to movies because there was so much unique stuff coming out.
You look at some of those release weekends where it's like Indiana Jones and Batman, and they're all like in the same weekend. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, did we know what we had?
No.
Did we
didn't.
know what
And
we
we
had
thought
on
it was
there?
going to last forever.
Of course.
We thought it was going to last forever. And we thought that whatever's coming after the 80s is going to be even better music-wise, right? And it's like, yeah, there was a lot of stuff in the 90s, but then, what happened? I don't know.
What happened when we got old?
What happened?
What happened, man?
What happened?
You want to do one more TikTok?
Well, it depends on which one it is. What do you got?
Let's see.
Something related to.
I was bringing up the
ostriches
profitability of Star Wars, the franchise. If you want to see those numbers, I mean, it seems like this is why they're doing even shitty ones.
Are those adjusted grosses?
Well, this one is the 2015, so this is $250 million to make, 936 lifetime gross.
Yeah.
They've profited, so it's like, it's a publicly traded company. They have to do what's most profitable.
Sure.
So
it's hard. I know.
But this one's a good one, though.
I maintain that it would be more profitable to have a fucking good movie.
I know. Well, here's a case in point. Star Wars Episode 4, $1.5 million to make, 300 million lifetime. Yeah. I mean, now that's 43 years, or how many years?
Yeah.
Or anyway.
The Blair Witch Project.
True.
$64,000 or whatever
crazy,
to make.
Yeah.
200 million.
Because it was innovative.
It did, yeah.
And then people tried to imitate
and
it.
they did what? Oh, we need point of view movies.
Yeah.
Right.
They made
Found
1,000
footage.
of those found footage films, and like 2 of them were good.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Hasn't every idea been written?
Cloverfield is good.
Cloverfield is a good take.
J.J. Abrams.
I don't think I can add to this, Steve. I don't know if I'll do this for you.
You don't have to hear. I can do this one by myself.
Yeah.
This is kind of
Should we do it by? Okay, let me reset
a
up the
doctor
camera
on doctor
then.
one.
So before I split, there is no live stream on Friday.
How come?
Because I'm traveling. I'll be in the air.
Where you going?
Going every Thanksgiving. I go to
Denver.
That's right. That's right. Yay.
I mean, if you want, I can bring my stuff with me, and we can do it the next Friday if you really want to do it.
No, I'll be traveling.
All right, so 2 weeks we're off then.
It's Black Friday. Yeah.
Guys, have a wonderful.
So this is all you get for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Have a wonderful 2 weeks wherever you are in the world, whatever you're celebrating.
Hold up my album again.
Yeah.
I'm doing another TikTok, and then we'll go. You gonna hang out for dinner?
I gotta head back.
Gotta head back.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna go see my. Yeah, I gotta go.
Your sister.
All right, no worries.
Yeah. Because Thanksgiving is not celebrated globally. Did you know that, Steve?
Yes, I'm aware of that. It's an American holiday.
So I shouldn't say Happy Thanksgiving.
Canadians have it, right? Not the same time, but there is a Canadian Thanksgiving.
Thanks, guys.
best
I had a
holiday.
lot of fun. This was a great change from last week. It was awesome having you here, George.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me be here.
It's
I
always
appreciate
awesome,
it.
man.
It's always nice. You guys are so generous.
You're welcome anytime, George.
Cool. It was a good ride. It was actually a nice day for it. Nice
Yep.
ride. I like that
God
ride.
damn, this weather, guys.
I know.
I mean, we're in late November, and I'm outside in a t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, global warming is like, what? Like, I'm getting scared, man. It's not cool. Literally. You know, if it doesn't get cold, like there's a lot of insects that go out of control. Like ticks go out of control if the winter doesn't whack them back.
And there's the drought as well on top of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, driving by that lake that's up here, right off the thing. Oh boy, I've never seen some of those rocks. In the
Yeah,
lake
it's very
before.
low.
Like, oh my gosh.
We're still doing the TikToks, everybody, so you don't have
All
to.
right.
Yeah, one more
Enjoy it.
TikTok.
All right, I'll get out
Enjoy
of the
it.
frame.
Can you take your alcoholic beverage off of the screen, Steve? Look at that. Yeah, your root beer. Whatever. Root beer.
Root beer.
You're getting, woo. Getting hopped up on root beer. Yep. You can push that other chair. Yeah, George, if you can push that chair. Thank you. Can I pet that dog?
Go more like this.
Oh, yeah. Wherever. You want to sit to the side like that? Okay. Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
I
that's a little centered.
in
is
the middle.
Better, yeah. Just so I can. Let me center this thing. Let me do a picture-in-picture. Just make sure that's good. Chatters, stand by, chat. Stand by. We got this. Okay. You good, Steve?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
So the way the eye doctors treat each other for pink eye is vastly different from the way they treat you for pink eye when you get it. And this is just a great example of where there can be a lot of science and a lot of data supporting a therapy, but if there's no clear profit motive or incentive, it doesn't really matter, and it's almost as if it doesn't even exist. And you probably didn't know that you can treat pink eye, or aka viral conjunctivitis, with topical betadine. All you have to do is just numb your eye, put a few drops in, let it sit, and then rinse it out. And this decreases your symptom duration by several days. It decreases the viral load, and you're basically up on your feet, ready to get back to normal life much, much faster. But if you...
That's probably fine,
That's,
right?
yeah, it's more enough. Yeah,
Okay.
it's good.
Let's go like this. All right, we're rolling.
So come on, this guy's, I know he's a doctor, says he's a retinal surgeon, but he's got a narrative there, and his narrative is BS. And, listen, I'm not an eye doctor, I'm a neurologist, but I am a doctor. I know how to read the literature. I kind of know how clinical medicine works. So it didn't take me long to get the backstory on the betadine treatment for viral conjunctivitis, and it's nothing like what this guy is saying. First of all, his premise one is that doctors don't do this. Actually, a third of eye doctors will use betadine treatment for viral conjunctivitis. So some are doing it. He says that there's evidence that it works. That's kind of whitewashing a lot of complexity. In fact, there is a debate going on about whether or not it does work. A 2022 Cochrane review, so this is a systematic review, it's the gold standard of systematic reviews of all the published evidence out there so far, said that there is not enough evidence to say that this treatment is effective. So there's literally 2024, just in September, published like pro and con in the ophthalmology literature. Should we be doing this to treat viral conjunctivitis? And you can make a good case for doing it and a good case for not doing it. It's not risk-free. If you don't adequately rinse out the iodine after you put it in the eye, it could stain the cornea, for example. So, and you have to compare it to the alternatives. The alternative is using hot cloths, using artificial tears. And if you do that, that also reduces the symptoms and also, it helps people deal with it. And so the question is, should this become the standard of care or not? And the answer is we need to do more research to really answer that question. And for now, there's two schools of thought. Some people do it, some people don't do it. The evidence, there's some positive evidence, but it's not there yet to say that this should become the standard of care. That's the debate that's happening. This has nothing to do with, well, we can't bill for it, but, first of all, you can, because people will come into your office for an office visit and you treat them, and that's the treatment you give them, and you get to bill them for that. There are ophthalmologists, I found them, that advertise, come in and we do betadine treatment for viral conjunctivitis. So they're actually advertising that they do it. So his narrative is just nonsense. It doesn't comport with reality. The reality is clinical questions are complicated. Evidence is often mixed. And answering the question of what should be the standard of care treatment often is not clear cut, and there's often disagreements about it. And that's clearly what's going on here. There's a disagreement among experts about what the standard of care is. Some do it, some don't, and that's it. There's nothing. It's not like doctors are secretly giving each other the real treatments and we're withholding effective treatments from our patients because we can't bill for it. That's nonsense.
Cool.
That guy's an asshole. Seriously.
Yeah, I know.
Like, it's right in the fucking literature.
Like, you could
That
look it
fucking
up
guy.
for this full gig.
Right.
Another one.
But he's got on scrubs, Ian. He's wearing scrubs.
That means I trust him.
Wearing scrubs. All right. Oops. So we'll see you in 2 weeks?
I think so.
3 weeks. No, in 3 weeks.
In 3 weeks. That's right. Let's look at the date. I'll bring up my calendar. So the 27th, obviously, that's the day before Thanksgiving. We won't do that. The following one is the Wednesday before our...
before the December
thing. Show, which you should come check out. We may or may not do it.
Yeah, probably not, because I'm going to have to be doing post-production on the show that day.
Right. There's also...
so it'll probably be the Wednesday after that.
Right. Oop, what happened with this?
And we're getting... Well, actually...
There's another thing, isn't there?
Then, December... All of December is kind of foobar.
Right.
Just for me personally. So, so we have Thanksgiving, then we have the Wednesday before the show, and then the 2 weeks after that, I'm covering the inpatient service. And so I will not be available on Wednesday afternoon.
We may be able
And then we have the holidays.
Right.
So we're basically talking January.
Probably. Yeah, we might have some Friday
We may be able to throw a Friday in there, but...
Maybe some holiday special we can maybe do.
We're basically on our holiday
like a live
schedule
one.
now. Yep.
Or we could have Bob come down if he's off.
Yep.
You know, that might be fun.
Yep.
An impromptu sort of Alpha Quadrant 6.
But I'm pretty much cooked for December.
Yeah, so we'll figure that out. Maybe we'll do a live one with the backpack.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. Let's
For those
see
of
if
you
there's any
in the
other
U.S.,
questions.
enjoy your Thanksgiving.
Yes, have a good one. And you can put pictures in the picture channel, the share photo channel in Discord if you want to. Maybe we'll take some pictures of our spreads as we go about it. And I think that's it. Anything else?
That's it.
That's it. Make
Bye,
sure
everyone.
to become a
Thanks,
patron,
Ian.
all that other fun stuff. We'll see you later.
See
End
you
of
next
music.
time.
Bye-bye.